Governor Newsom touted new job figures showing the state added thousands of fast food jobs this year. Those gains occurred after California raised the minimum wage for most fast food workers to $20 an hour in April. KQED's labor correspondent Farida Jvala-Romero explains.
The figures by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics show that fast food restaurants added more than 25,000 jobs since January to a record high in July. Critics point to other data from the Bureau that was adjusted for seasonal economic factors, showing the industry actually lost some jobs. Even so, that's good news for supporters of the wage increase, says economist John Logan at San Francisco State University.
No evidence of a disastrous impact on jobs. In fact, all signs seem to be that, fast food sector in California is continuing to grow.
The state law applies to chains with 60 or more establishments nationwide. It also created a fast food council that can keep raising the minimum wage by up to 3.5% per year. For the California Report, I'm Farida Jvala-Romero.
It's okay. See, the code doesn't say nothing against somebody going into business. That's, going into business is just going into business. That's all. If you can find a business to go into where you can make some money. I mean, there are some black people who are in business. They run in little barbecue stands or something, a chuck wagon.
Family, friends, and sweet teeth all over the world are remembering Wallace Amos, best known as Wally, or famous Amos. The cookie connoisseur opened his first chocolate chip shop on Sunset Boulevard way back in 1975. Loved by celebrities and even presidents, those tasty treats became a nationwide hit. Amos died this week at the age of 88, leaving a lifelong legacy and sweet memories for his kids. His son, Sean Amos, or as he's known, the Reverend Sean Amos, is here to talk to us right now. Hi, Sean.
Good to be with you again, man. Sorry about the circumstances, but good to be with you.
Our condolences to you and your family. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm riding the waves. It's I had a bet when I woke up this morning with my partner about how many times I would cry today. She said 14. I said 5. I'm at 12 right now. So you just, it's involuntary. It just sort of washes over you. But the outpouring's been amazing from everyone. It's just been really, it's lifted me and everyone in the family up. It's just been so much love towards him.
Take us back, Sean, to your childhood and about your dad's, started at the William Morris Agency, right? He was a talent agent and was one of the first black talent agent in the industry. What was that like watching him growing up?
I didn't get to watch that firsthand. I wish I did. I was born soon after he left William Morris and moved to Los Angeles. It's funny, he quit William Morris because he was next in line to be head of the music department, and the powers that be didn't think that a black guy in charge would be so cool. So he left.
Well, they didn't know Barry Gordy? Or
Exactly.
I mean, what?
They did not read the papers, I guess. Quincy Jones was Quincy was down the street leading the A&R department at Mercury. But I guess it was one too many. Anyway, he and that's what brought us to Los Angeles in 1967, the year I was born. He was managing Hugh Masekela. He left the agency with Hugh, and Hugh had a big hit with Up and Away My Beautiful Balloon with the Fifth Dimension, and he was going to start a record label, and he wanted my dad to start this record label from out in L.A., and so he packed up his wife, my mother, and me. And we came to L.A., and as soon as he arrived, Hugh Masekela changed his mind. And so he was stuck in L.A. with a newborn baby and a wife, and had to figure out what to do. And so he quickly acquired this roster of talent and started a management company. And he made cookies to pass the time and to sort of give him a little bit of a leg up in pitch meetings and backstage at recording studios and sound stages. And that's my earliest memories. I remember making cookies with him in the kitchen after work, and it was just this sort of hobby he had. Some dads sat and watched football, and he went in the kitchen and made cookies.
Was he a baker? He loved baking?
He wasn't a baker. It was a specific memory he was tapping into. He moved to New York City when he was 12 years old. His parents were divorced, and his mother put him on a train at age 12 and sent him up to New York to live with her sister, his Aunt Della. And Della was the first person who ever made chocolate chip cookies for him. He was 12 years old. And that memory stuck because it was just so opposite of the real strict and kind of, horrifying, full of corporal punishment upbringing he had with his mother in Tallahassee. And so it stuck. And for whatever reason, on some night in the 70s at the Rock and Roll Ralph's, he picked up a bag of Nestle chocolate chip cookies and decided to make some cookies for a self-soothing exercise, I think. And he just dug it, and people dug the cookies. And it was the 70s, and infer what you will about people's, munchies. And so he always just had cookies around, and it became sort of his shtick, And when the management thing sort of dried up, his back was up against the wall, and he thought, I'm just going to get out of show business, actually. He thought he'd get out of it, open up a little shop selling cookies. It'd be like a little corner store. It'd be a quiet little life.
Have you ever seen a cookie surfing? Well, I did. When I was a kid, 12 years old in New York, I had my first chocolate chip cookies, and I just developed a love for chocolate chip cookies.
After playing to full houses at home, Wally takes his star chocolate chips on the road.
I made cookies for 5 years at home, gave them out to friends. One day, I decided that I was going to open up a store and sell them. Have you ever heard of Famous Amos cookies? No? Well, I guess everybody hasn't heard of Famous Amos cookies, you see?
That was your dad being interviewed by a show called Real People way back in the day, 1970s. You wrote a book that was loosely based on your life called Cookies and Milk.
I did write a book. It's funny. I'd written some serialized, memoirs for Huffington Post years earlier, where it was a little more of an unvarnished look at my childhood. And I turned that into a middle grade novel called Cookies and Milk, which is about a kid named Ellis Johnson who helps his dad open up the world's first chocolate chip cookie store in Hollywood. And it was a way for me to come to peace with him and reconcile some unfinished business with him, and to most importantly just appreciate him and find the joy in him and realize how lucky I was to have him as a dad despite his imperfections, which we all have. And man, I'm so glad that I wrote that thing in time. So he got to see some of it.
He had dementia, right, in his later years.
He did, yeah. He passed away in Hawaii, which is his, second home. I mean, he probably considers his first home, really. He loved it there. He moved there in 1977, soon after he started Famous Amos, and with his wife by his side, Carol, and which is, kind of best way to go, I guess. But it is a long goodbye, they call it, and it has been a long goodbye. And now that it's really goodbye, it's a whole other, layer of emotions, right? You sort of go through this elongated sadness when someone is fading away like that, and then when it's finally faded to black, it's the other trap door falls out. So we're all sort of saying goodbye for real now.
If there was one thing you could tell the world about your father that they don't know, besides the chocolate chip cookies and the talent and all of that, what would you say?
I think most people probably know this. He had just this audacious joy. He was just stubbornly optimistic, and I think it's what attracted so many people to him. But it was there in private too. It was not a facade. It was not part of an act. He just always saw the glasses half full, and he was just this eternal optimist, and really believed in the power of fun and the power of joy, along with the power of hard work. The attitude was just always joyful from start to finish.
The Reverend Sean Amos, author of Cookies and Milk, son of famous Amos, Wallace Amos, who died this week at the age of 88. Sean, thanks for coming on. Again, our condolences to you and your family, and take care of yourself.
Oh, man, thanks for letting me remember him with you. I appreciate it.
From a prison nation.
For the 8th consecutive year, Princeton University's Prison Teaching Initiative hosted a dozen formerly incarcerated undergraduate students this summer. WHYY's New Jersey reporter Kenneth Burns tells us the program, which concluded earlier this month, is quickly becoming a national model.
They did the crime and the time.
I had a couple of different sentences, drug-related, and then aggravated burglary with 15 years total.
I was convicted of aggravated manslaughter. I got a 30-year sentence, 22 with an 8 running wild.
This is my second incarceration. I got a 12-year sentence under the NERA Act, which means I had to do 85% of that time. I did 10 years, 2 months, 11 days.
This summer, these individuals were part of a cohort of interns in a STEM program at Princeton University. The program, which ended August 2nd, pays a stipend and gives support and mentorship to the interns who gain practical experience. PTI's director, Dr. Jill Stockwell, says her team has been running the internship program since 2017.
What we've been doing ever since is really creating a model of inclusive student support for formerly incarcerated interns that we hope to scale and sustain.
And scaling they did. With support from the National Science Foundation, Princeton has created a toolkit for similar STEM internships at Howard, Tulane, and San Francisco State universities. While Lee Palmer, one of the summer interns, hasn't touched a computer in more than 2 decades. Taking a computer science course on a whim, he knew he had a lot of catching up to do.
I have to put myself in position to help others be a part of it. And so right now I'm on a mission to build curriculums and programs that are going to help inner city youth be more involved with STEM.
Palmer's classmate, Mary McCrary, says she is grateful for the opportunity.
Hopefully, thanks to this internship and the platform it's already given me, actually makes change for people who come after me, who are coming out of prisons, who want to get an education, who want to change their life, who want to make a difference. This will help me advocate for that.
Christopher Etienne, student engagement coordinator for the program, says the internship allows students like Palmer and McCrary to work with an academic mentor.
You'll have like a faculty mentor, so that's somebody who actually opens their lab and allow you to work inside of that lab and study and work on your research. You will have a day-to-day mentor, which would be a graduate student that's already engaging in that research that you're going to be participated in.
There's also peer-to-peer support to help the interns adjust to campus life. The Princeton alumni class of 1994 regularly steps in as mentors as well. The camaraderie among the dozen students in this year's program was strong. Dwayne Horn is in the humanities track.
These stories that these men and women have shows you that whatever you think the status quo is, whatever you believe something looks like, if you take your schema of academia or intellectualism, it looks like something. No, it doesn't. It looks like what you make it.
Dr. Stockwell says there are students who are currently incarcerated that are ready to be full-time Princeton students, and that the Ivy League institution has a role and a responsibility to provide the highest quality education to them. Each year, the end of the summer program is marked by a luncheon. In addition to the faculty and staff, family and friends of the interns attend to celebrate an important milestone in the students' lives. Stockwell says it's always a wonderful occasion. From the New Jersey desk, Kenneth Burns, WHYY News.
Students starting college at Massachusetts Institute of Technology this fall will be part of a class that looks pretty different compared to recent years. MIT says Black enrollment is way down, as is Latino enrollment, all because of last year's Supreme Court ruling ending affirmative action in college admissions. NPR correspondent Tovia Smith is following the story and joins us now. Hi, Tovia.
Hi there.
Okay, so tell us more about what this freshman class at MIT looks like.
So heads up, there's a lot of numbers here, but they all tell a very straightforward and stark story, and that is that since the Supreme Court ruled that colleges cannot consider race in admissions, just 5% of MIT's incoming students are Black. That number used to average around 13%. Hispanic enrollment is down to 11% from around 15%. Native American and Pacific Islander numbers are also down, and on the other hand, Asian enrollment is up to 47%. From around 41, and white enrollment is about the same as it's been.
So interesting. And MIT is saying this is a direct result of the Supreme Court ruling?
Yes, and they're saying, we told you so. That is, they say they warned that this decision would adversely impact some minority enrollment, and they're none too pleased. MIT officials declined to comment except through prepared comments and a video from University President Sally Kornbluth. She says she cares deeply about diversity.
That, to me, is something worth fighting very hard to preserve. So what are we going to do? Of course, we're going to follow the law as we always have. Within that, we need to seek out new approaches.
She mentioned expanding recruitment and outreach programs, as well as increasing financial aid, and they're brainstorming new ideas. But as MIT's head of admissions put it, there's no easy hack to solve for racial equality when they can no longer consider race.
Exactly. Well, what are students telling you about how they're feeling about all of this?
I spoke with Juliana Cabrera Sanchez, who's an MIT senior and vice president of the Latino Cultural Center. She says her worst fears are coming true both for students at MIT and also for the broader community.
And if we just have fewer Black and Latino engineers or just in general students in higher education, we're losing a key aspect and perspective that impact how we help our communities. And it's just really disheartening to see that we've worked on growing this community and it's come so far, and now it seems like we're just like taking a step back.
Well, Tovia, as we've been talking about the Supreme Court ruling from last year, have you heard from the people who brought that case?
Yes. So by way of reminder, this all stems from a lawsuit against Harvard and the University of North Carolina. That lawsuit argued that affirmative action in admissions was reverse discrimination and particularly harmful to Asian American students. The lawsuit came from a group called Students for Fair Admissions. I contacted their head, Edward Bloom, who offered only a written comment. He says, every student admitted to the class of 2028 at MIT will now know they were accepted only based on their outstanding academic and extracurricular achievements, not the color of their skin. We also reached out to some Asian students and professors from MIT, including some who supported the lawsuit, but we got multiple no comments.
Well, just to be clear, the Supreme Court decision bars all schools, not just MIT, from considering race in admissions. So are we seeing the same declines at other schools?
That's a good question. And I asked Jill Orcutt with the American Association of Collegiate Registrar and Admissions Officers, and she says, yes, other schools are seeing similar declines. So she says she's reminding schools that the Supreme Court said that it is okay for applicants to write about their race, and she is advising schools to make sure they're giving sufficient weight to student essays.
You know, they can't get points for their ethnicity, but they can get points for how race affected their life and experiences.
But how much leeway schools will have in that regard remains to be tested, which it almost surely will be.
Indeed. That is NPR's Tovia Smith. Thank you so much, Tovia.
Thank you.
This week, Texas sued the Biden administration to try to block new federal minimum staffing requirements for nursing homes. The new rules could eventually require facilities that get money from Medicare to hire tens of thousands of nurses and aides. Ali Rogan looks into this controversial mandate.
The nursing home rule, announced in April, phases in staffing requirements, including that a registered nurse be on site 24 hours a day and that each resident get a minimum number of hours of direct care each day. But like many industries around the country, these facilities are grappling with staffing shortages. We spoke to one nursing home worker who's been on the front lines of care for 34 years.
Not everybody's teeth get brushed every day. People's nails aren't cut like they used to. Beds aren't being made. Staff has to take shortcuts to get things done because there's less of them to provide all the care that the residents need. The system is so broken and so short-handed and so difficult to manage with the different combinations of patients that you're not able to provide the care for the people that really need it at the moments they really need it.
The new rule faces pushback from the nursing home industry for being unrealistic and from patient advocates who say it doesn't go far enough. Jordan Rao is a senior correspondent at KFF News and has covered nursing homes for more than a decade. Jordan, thank you so much for being here. Why did the Biden administration want to put this rule in place?
Well, the pandemic really exposed the degree to which nursing homes were in dire straits. I mean, over 200,000 people died in them just from COVID alone, and that put a lot of pressure on it. And so there's been pressure for years, really decades, to improve the core issues there, which are, some of those were mentioned in just before, but also people falling a lot because of low staffing. Bed sores are a regular problem, people not getting their medication, people not getting food on time and such. And they saw this as an opportunity to really push hard and make some fundamental changes on staffing.
It has been getting some backlash from various stakeholders. Why the backlash?
Well, it's very expensive. I mean, it's going to cost billions of dollars to staff up for the industry as a whole. Now, Some of these nursing homes already have enough staff to meet the minimum requirements that the Biden administration is requiring, but most don't. And it's going to be extremely expensive to hire those people. And a lot of people don't want to take these jobs right now. I mean, if you're a nursing aide, the average pay is about $19 an hour. People don't want to do that. It's a very, very difficult job. So in some places, they'll have to increase the wages. So the industry claims that they can't afford it. And so they've resisted it both politically. They've gone to Congress and they're looking to block and overturn the rule, and also legally and going to the courts.
So what else is behind these staffing shortages? Because apparently, industry insiders will say there are 99% of these nursing homes that have open jobs, but they simply can't find people to fill the jobs. Why is that?
A lot of it is the money, but a lot of it is people also got burned out doing these jobs during the pandemic. I mean, it was brutal work, and watching your patients die was really, really difficult. The fact that these places are understaffed becomes a really bad cycle, because if you are in a nursing home that doesn't have enough staff, your job is so much harder. And so it becomes harder to recruit people for those. In most nursing homes, the average turnover in a nursing home is about 50%. Every year. There's also a problem in that there's not really a career ladder for some of the people. So if you go in at the lower level, you're not really working towards something. And so a lot of people are like, hey, I can make the same amount of money or more money working at Target or even working at McDonald's, and it's a much easier job.
The labor unions that represent a lot of these nurses do support this role, and we heard from April Verrett of the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, who said caregivers have been demanding safer staffing for years and finally feel heard now. So what are nursing home workers who are currently in the industry telling you?
Well, I mean, they've for a long time felt undervalued, underpaid, also really resentful, because while there are a lot of nursing homes that are really in dire straits financially and closing up, there are also owners and corporations that have been making a lot of money off of the nursing homes. There have been ones that are buying it up, and they just feel like there's a lot of money out there that should be spent on the quality of staffing. And that has sort of been one of the major issues that isn't being addressed in this rule, which is how much money can these nursing homes, or some of them, need to staff up at this level. And there's no money attached to the rule. It's just you've got to hit this level or else you're in trouble.
Are these nursing homes equipped to comply?
It's hard to generalize, right? I mean, I think that there's some nursing homes, there's about, let's say, 20% that are doing it. There's going to be about 20% that are going to be able to get a waiver from it because they're going to be able to demonstrate that there just aren't enough, qualified workers in their area. And then the other ones, it really depends. It really comes down to what the administration does in terms of penalties. Because if you are going to just cite them with a small financial penalty, for instance, it's still in a nursing home's financial, just forget the patients, right, for a second, and just look at the books. It's still cheaper to pay the penalty than it is to staff up. And so that's the problem that the administration has when they decide exactly how they're going to penalize or enforce this, because on the flip side, if they penalize them too much, you can drive a struggling nursing home out of business.
What do analysts say about whether this is a Band-Aid on a bigger issue, or is this really getting to the heart of an industry that has been problematic for decades?
It's both. It's a floor, right? This is a minimum staffing. So no one is saying, like, if all your nursing homes are staffed at this level, the care is going to be fantastic. So it's considered a good first step to bring up some of the worst nursing homes in the country to levels that are acceptable. There's some really good nursing homes out there. There's some really good care being given. There's some really good owners, but still overall, the quality of care is not at the same level that you get in a hospital or you get in private pay, at your home. And there's still a long way to go to really get a high quality of care for some of the frailest Americans.
Right. At the heart of all of this is the patients who are very vulnerable people. Jordan Rao with KFF Health News. Thank you so much for breaking this down for us.
Thanks for having me.
You know how economists have been reassuring us that the job market is relatively sturdy? Well, it may be a little shakier than we thought. Today, the Labor Department said that it actually added 818,000 fewer jobs to the market than it initially reported back in March. Now, it is normal for the federal government to revise reports like this. It's part of the standard process. But the size of the delta between this report and the one just a few months ago is kind of unusual. It shows the biggest downward revision since 2009. We should note that this is still a preliminary revision. That said, it is evidence that the labor market has been slowing down for a while now. Sarah House joins me now to help us make sense of these numbers. She's a senior economist at Wells Fargo. Welcome.
Thank you, Elsa.
So I mentioned that this is the biggest downward revision of job numbers in about 15 years. How surprising were these numbers to you today?
Yeah, so it is pretty surprising to see that sort of downward revision when the economy is in an expansion, which I think by most indications we still see. But in other ways, it's not surprising because we have seen a broad slowdown in terms of other jobs market data, and payrolls was really the outlier for a while there.
Well, were there specific industries that suffered the most in terms of job growth?
So it was pretty broad-based in terms of most industries saw downward revisions. So you did get a sense of just how steep they were, where one of the biggest areas we saw was a decline in the level of employment in the information industry. So that includes a lot of tech workers who maybe work for software developers. So that was one notable standout. And then professional business services was another. So they did tend to skew a little bit more towards some of the white collar jobs, but overall it was pretty broad across industries.
Well, for financial markets, for Americans, I mean, news like what we're hearing today with this revision can create fears that there's going to be a real downturn in the economy. So let me ask you, are you at all worried about that?
So we are expecting the economy to slow, and I think given the weakening momentum that we've seen, as well as the fact that we still have a pretty tight stance of monetary policy, does indicate to us that the recession risk is elevated, but it's not over 50%. So our baseline expectation is that the economy continues to expand. But what this does tell us is that the labor market has cooled off substantially from its very strong state in 2022 and 2023. And with inflation also coming down quite a lot over the past couple years, it does tell us that the Fed does have room to ease its policy rate where they don't have to be stepping on the brakes so hard as they have been over the past year.
Well, let's talk about what the Fed might do, because they're meeting in September. How will these numbers today impact the Fed's assessment of how much to cut interest rates?
Yeah, so this really adds, I think, to an array of jobs market data that points to a labor market that is really back to where it was before the pandemic. By some measures, maybe even a little bit softer. And so I think this does give the Fed more evidence that it's appropriate to start dialing back its level of restricted policy pretty soon. So I think on its own, this data is supportive of the Fed starting to cut rates at its next meeting on September 18th.
Well, we are still waiting for August job numbers. They come out in a couple weeks, and they might change our understanding of the state of the economy, right? So what are you expecting there? I'm going to ask the economist for a prediction.
Yes, so it's a little bit early to have a point estimate for that, but I think overall we do see signs that the pace of job market growth has downshifted over the past few months. So the benchmark revisions data that we got today, it still indicates that we were adding a pretty healthy number of jobs, but I think as we move through this year, we're going to see the monthly pace of job growth probably downshift closer to 130,000. And so we are seeing a moderation in that trend, and that's going to have implications for aggregate income growth and aggregate spending growth in the economy as well.
Sarah House is a senior economist at Wells Fargo. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Earlier this summer, a halting debate performance by President Biden shattered public confidence in his acuity. He's not the first leader to face such questions after delivering a shaky performance. And as AI gets better at analyzing rhetorical stumbles, it could be used to suggest business leaders are no longer sharp enough to lead. A study published in June in the journal Alzheimer's and Dementia shows how AI can use a person's speech patterns to forecast Alzheimer's disease with roughly 80% accuracy, 6 years before the condition becomes diagnosable. Here to tell us more about this is our columnist Callum Borchers, who writes about careers and work lives. So Callum, this study forecasting Alzheimer's disease, how does the technology work to make this prediction?
It's basically using recordings from patients who you know eventually went on to develop Alzheimer's and then looking backwards to see, okay, how did they sound years before they had a diagnosable level of cognitive decline that would rise to the level of dementia or Alzheimer's disease? And can the machine learn to find speech patterns that would indicate today, if you sat down for an oral test, that you could be on the path to dementia? So that's what the model is trying to do. But as you said, it's imperfect. So for patients, it can be a really useful tool, but there's also concern for false positives and whether it could unfairly cast doubt on somebody's mental acuity.
So you mentioned an oral test. What kinds of things do people need to be saying in order to get a reading?
Well, I talked to the lead researcher on this study, a distinguished professor of engineering at Boston University named Yannis Pashilaitis, and he says you'd sit with a medical professional. This would be a fairly long oral test, and they might ask you some questions and then come back to that same topic, say a half hour later in the same interview. And it would sort of test your short-term memory loss. Maybe you had a hard time recalling what you had just talked about earlier on. And so in a business context, that might be something that people notice with coworkers. And that's just one example of how the patterns show up. I've been cautioned by researchers, by the way, that right now the model needs the structure of a written test because the model is comparing a new person's responses today to what showed up in hundreds of patients' responses to those same kinds of questions over time. The future outlook could be something more like casual conversation that you would record with a smartphone.
Right, and as we've mentioned, these tests are not 100% accurate. So, Callum, how could AI tools for detecting diminishing competence be countered?
The good news for executives who might be worried about AI sounding the alarm bells about cognitive decline is that there are also AI tools that could help cover that up. And some of them are already at our fingertips today. You take something like ChatGPT or Gemini that can generate drafts of answers to employees' questions in a split second. And then there are even more sophisticated things like voice cloning tools. For example, if you were recording a PowerPoint presentation and you had a hard time delivering that message clearly, you can now go back, feed software a corrected script, what you wanted it to say, and the software has learned your voice and it can mimic your voice to make it sound as if you read it perfectly. There's even a feature on one of these software tools that will move your eyes so it looks like you had good direct-to-camera eye contact if you were glued to your script.
If someone receives a prediction from AI that they could have Alzheimer's in the future, what did the experts you spoke to say about how they should use that information?
Well, they universally said you should not take it at face value. It is a red flag that you should go to see a neurologist, go see a specialist. That's true for a lot of at-home diagnostics that we already use today. The Boston University researchers who are working on this model with speech patterns, for example, tell me they don't think that the role of the physician ever will or should go away. But the idea in their minds is that we have some healthcare deserts in this country and certainly around the world where it can be hard to go get screened. Or if you do get screened, maybe it's too late because your disease has progressed to a point where it's just become obvious to loved ones and then they finally bring you to the doctor. So the idea is, can we put a diagnostic tool, an at-home diagnostic tool, on an app in your phone and at least give you a signal, hey, you should really go get checked out?
Callum, in the context of work, this seems really invasive. Are there examples of health information being used by company boards to judge the fitness of their leaders now?
For people who want to be a chief executive, a lot of them are already used to forking over a lot of personal health data. It would not be uncommon for a wannabe CEO to sit through an extensive personality or psychiatric evaluation to try to assess whether they're fit or cultural fit even for the job. And then on an ongoing basis, executives sometimes submit reports from their annual physicals, could be blood work, could be EKG results. All of this can be worked out in a CEO's contract. But of course, an executive's personal health is often closely tied to the well-being of the company. And so that's the rationale. And executives I talked to said, look, we understand that. And it's appropriate for boards of directors to want to know that we're still up to the job because it is physically demanding. At the same time, there has to be some line, they say, where you have a measure of personal privacy. And once you get into forecasting what's coming down the pike, that's a whole other level. I talked to one CEO who said, look, if it gets to that point, I'm just going to quit. I won't put up with that level of invasiveness. But he also said it would be wise, though, for executives today, if you're negotiating your next contract, try to get in writing some language in your contract about what can and cannot be used when it comes to AI health models.
That was Callum Borchers, our On the Clock careers columnist.
Context of white supremacy. Brave New World, Alex Huxley, did he talk about that? Listener-supported counter-racist radio, The Cows, in for another broadcast. Today's date, Friday, August 23rd, 2024, so I have been told. Our weekly broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators, especially if you have figured out you don't have any concerns about any sort of diagnostic tools, them coming to make sure that you are still fit for your job. You don't have to worry about, oh man, they're using the excuse that because of the Supreme Court decision, oh man, am I going to still be able to finish out my career, and are they going to throw us out and all that? None of those concerns. They don't block you for promotions, raises. They don't freeze you out of information, as they say, where you don't find out about meetings or changes to the itinerary. You don't find out until after things have happened. People think you're shiftless and lazy because you weren't present or were late. That never happens. You are a valued, appreciated member of the organization. You are compensated well, correctly, in accordance with your value to the team. You get your promotions, you get your bonuses, you get your raises, all of that. They don't mess you over. They call you by your correct name every time. If you have figured out how to get some of those workplace comforts, we are begging on bended knee, let us know. How did you do this? Please give us a few tips, pointers, so that we can have a little bit of that relaxation, enjoyment in the workplace. Minimal of the racism. The number to dial and share, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see. A few thoughts, then we'll get to the emails, callers as well. First of all, I had said, I think maybe within the last 10 days, we had like an 85-degree day or something where it was above 80 degree Fahrenheit here in Seattle, which is a little bit warm, just a teaspoon in terms of what our average summer weather is for this time of year, just a little bit over. But I said then, I think that was the coup de grace of summer. It is going to be going to fall from here forward. That doesn't mean we're not going to have any more sunny days, but I don't think we're going to have any more blazing hot for here. Plus 80 degree, I don't think we're going to have any more of that. I think it's, we might have some days in the 70s or what have you, but the summer weather is done. We are cooling for autumn here forward. The high for today, I think it's like 58 degrees, something ridiculous. Let me see, check it again. 58 on the nose, 58 Fahrenheit. High for the day. It's not even 6 p.m. yet. Sun never came out. August 23rd. That is about what I would expect for Seattle, Washington. Now, we should have some 78s, some 75s next week. I think Labor Day weekend is supposed to be nice and sunny, but not in the 80s. Get ready to pack up that bathing suit, get that hoodie, boots, sweatshirts, all that good winter gear. Summer is gone, in these parts at least. For the folks elsewhere, I guess they still got the heat waves, so keep that AC rolling. Now, to the new segments that we started with today specifically. They started out, they said in California, they have seen an increase in fast food jobs. I guess you can take that however you want to. Governor Gavin Newsom in California, he was considered for presidential candidate, vice presidential candidate even. Might get a cabinet post if VP Kamala Harris wins. He raised minimum wage to $20 an hour. Now, some of these businesses balked, said, that's too high, and we're going to reduce hours and all of that. The statistic that I've been sharing from the context of all that reporting on minimum wage is they said 80% of the fast food workers in California are non-white, and a good chunk of those are non-white females. I don't care what the minimum wage is. The people that they intend to be in there, those hot kitchens, that's one of those environments we talked about that often, no AC. I guarantee you, Southern California, the temperature high for today was not 58 degrees. You're in that hot kitchen, no AC, making tater tots for 10 hours a day or 9 hours a day. Cheeseburgers, tacos. Man, non-white people stuffed in there. Now, they said, hey, increased all the rest of it. I said then, that to me means if you are a white person at Chipotle or McDonald's, whatever it is, ooh-wee, waste of white skin. You are not supposed to be here. Unless you own the restaurant, maybe you're the manager or something like that, but general manager maybe, but just you back here on fries. What? You're the shift leader. What? That is for sure spade work. Whataburger, all that. California. Anyway, Krispy Kreme I think would count for that too. That's fast food, same thing. Let's see. The next segment, sticking with California, I saw this last week. Famous Amos passes away down in Hawaii. Aloha. All those years being in the cookie business, famous Amos's chocolate chip cookies. Man, you talk about tubby days. I would get some of those. The pecan, that's my favorite. The chocolate chip with the pecan. Oh my goodness. Munch and munch. You can't even find those everywhere. Like, that's one. I used to eat those in Seattle before I switched to being plant-based, and they don't even have those at like the grocery stores that I shop at most frequently now, they don't even have those cookies. Like, thinking of the grocery stores, you'd have to go, you'd have to go either out of Seattle or it would be an odyssey. Like, that is not standard. Famous Amos's chocolate chip cookies. That is not regular in the confections section. They will have lots of, edible Oreos, double stuffed, all that, but the Negra cookies, no. But oh man, I could go through you talking about 5-10 pounds, just whoop, 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 whoop. Anyway, I read more details once he passed away. Now, I didn't even see the information about his time in the entertainment industry when he's looking for a promotion and I'm managing all this talent and what have you. Whoa, we got too many Negras. We don't want Negras up here managing our music industry. And so, wait a minute, you got Quincy Jones, man. Seattle. Anyway, I said they could name the airport after him or Jimi Hendrix. They didn't do that. Anyway, he said, we got Berry Gordy, and what you mean you don't have black people? We don't want them to, or at least that's too many. We didn't want them over there. So, yeah, we definitely not going to do no famous Amos. Get on out of here. Get on out of here. He says, okay, I'll go see if I can figure out something else to do. He started, and even reminded me of Fuller, where he talked about the ingenuity room, where this started with part of my business. I bring fresh baked cookies. Now, I see some of that now in terms of just a human touch to all of this. You know, you get a handshake and wow, they didn't just go and get us some Oreos or what have you. We got fresh baked chocolate chip cookies, and then they are cracking chocolate chip cookies. Wow. Business right there. And then all those people that are business connects, they bugging you. Hey, you think you can get me a few more of them cookies? Bingo. Promote the business. There you go. And they said when he started the cookie business, he started the way they described it in the seedy part of Los Angeles. They said he's next to where they trafficked in vice, narcotics peddling, prostitution. And then he's going to set up shop to sell chocolate chip cookies. Man. Wow, but that ends up happening frequently for people classified as black, especially with all those connects and everything, people that you've worked with and people that love your cookies or what have you. You can't get a better push off than that. We got to be down here. They got to be dodging needles and all the rest of it, and people catcalling and hey, special, all the rest of it. We can't get a better start off than that. Man. System of white, and again, goes back. I'm not saying, not to be in business. It's just I think that's so important. I've heard this for years, decades. The problem, black people are not in business. That's how we'll end racism. I say that is false. If you be an entrepreneur, it will change the dynamics of how you experience white supremacy, racism, and that's just one. Now, they didn't even include the rest of it. Now, Mr. Famous Amos, he has his cookies. They are no preservatives, which really stood out to me. I'm all plant-based and all that, been that way for years. Stopped eating Famous Amos cookies a long time ago. But that was a part of the appeal. I made these that homemade, right? I put these cookies together and the yumminess and didn't put all those fake ingredients and everything, which does drive the cost up a little bit. And that means that they're not going to have the same shelf life, or they can't sit around and all that. You have to make more, all the rest of it. Anyway, but that was a part of how the cookies started. Struggling to make money, struggling with distribution, I'm sure. Sabotage. They are not trying to help no nigger the same way we are not trying to have no nigger competing with us in the music industry. General Mills and the same people that had the Honey Nut Cheerios bee riding a horse to fight in the Confederacy to keep Famous Amos as a slave on the plantation. We talked about that weeks ago. Those same people, they are not trying to have no Famous Amos competing with Chips Ahoy and Oreo cookies. Are you crazy? Nigger, please. So I'm sure there was all sorts of sabotage for all this. Anyway, he's struggling with the business as the years go on. They also say he was not the best business person. That is not stunning. I'm sure he did not get, particularly a black male born in that time period, I'm sure he did not get access to MIT, Princeton, all the best business schools to go and, all right, I'm going to do this the right way and get all the information, or even just to get invited to all the business meetings. When he was in the music industry, it was get out of here, nigger. They didn't want to share all the business tips and help him grow and all that. That wasn't it at all. Anyway, he ends up selling his cookie enterprise. I forgot, General Mills, one of the, outfits, Nabisco, whatever. He sells the cookie business. They take over. They continue selling the cookies that I love in his name, but they switch up the recipe, which was a big sticking point. They switch it up so that it, has more of the preservatives, more stable shelf life, all of that. When they sell the cookies, they get the rights to the name, all of that. Mr. Famous Amos, he's, I'll relaunch different cookie brand with my name. No way. We brought all of that with the cookies. He ends up relaunching, I think it's called No Name Cookies or what. That's what I mean. Like, wow, make sure, let's tell it all. Let's tell it all. If we're going to talk about business, no. I mean, the evidence, you're going to find a lot more of that. That's not anything to brag. Again, I'm not saying not to go into business. Beyonce's there too, right? But hey, Beyonce, famous Amos, both had to deal with racism. Isn't that double Louisiana connection, Katrina? But through and through, you're going to have to deal with the white supremacy racism. And same thing Fuller said, they can come and throw your lemonade, chocolate chip cookie stand, counter racist podcast, come and throw all that overboard in 5 seconds. Boo-hoo and done. Or take it over. Now we run the famous Amos. Don't you use the name again. They got pictures of that. I think it was called No Name Cookies or something like. Man, can't even use your name. System of white supremacy. I think that's happened a few times too, where you've had black people who were in whatever career and they lost the rights to their publishing, couldn't sing songs that they wrote, that sort of thing, over and over and over. Let's see. Next. The lack of nursing jobs. We've talked about that for a while, where they've had a shortage. We've had numbers of reports where they go and recruit black people, non-white people from all over the world to come and try and compensate for the nursing shortage. And it's just going to get worse because you have silver tsunami, aging population of people classified as white, and that's just getting larger. Who's going to, make sure they don't get bed sores, brush their teeth, make sure they get their meals, change the bedpans, get them a sponge bath, and all the rest of who's going to do that? Where are our niggas to care for us in our elder years? You're going to see more and more of that, especially you heard all that. These jobs don't pay very well, and then you got all these elderly race soldiers who are calling your names, nigger, and all the rest of it. Burnout, turnover. You have situations like COVID-19. Staff say, forget this, I'm out of here. Abandon, leave all the old folks in the home, which did happen during COVID-19. Man, who is going to want that job? Whew. Could be tough. And again, that's when I would think about now, what does this career look like? Working in an elder care facility. Everyone should be respected and such, but I mean, man, these jobs, the people that work these jobs are not respected, if you want to use that term. Like, man, like just the abuse from the people that they're going to be caring for, that alone. We didn't even get to compensation and hours, and am I going to be forced to take the Rona vaccine and all the updates and what have you? Eesh. That's one. They better hope that they can get drones or robots or something, because I mean, unless they, say that they're going to import a lot of non-white people, maybe get some of the folks from the Ukraine or what have you, bring them over to do these jobs. Unless they do that, the people that they're complaining about, saying that they're going to put a wall up or what have you, unless they're going to do that, train lots of folks, put out some TV programs, get some cool TV programs and put some of their Hollywood A-list actors in it and really glorify this job and do it up and subsidize people going to school for this. Unless they're going to start doing that sort of thing to the maximum, I could see that being a real problem moving forward. Let's see. At Princeton, now dig this. So at Princeton, Ivy League school, they have they have their program where they reach out to you once you're in greater confinement. Now you can get access to Princeton education. And for that report, they had a white woman. Her picture was first, but she's a faculty member at Princeton. Shout out to Woodrow Wilson. The next picture, black dude. He was not a faculty member. You know what he was? Inmate, potential rapist. So once you get in greater confinement, you can get access to Princeton. Now, if I'm just a hardworking Leroy and I went to school and took my ACT, took my SAT, and did my after-school activities and what have you, show that I'm a well-rounded person and helped my grandmother with her groceries and did community service and all of that, high GPA and all of that. You struggle. You can't get into MIT. And now we don't have hardly no niggers at MIT and have the audacity to blame it on affirmative action. Now, how many niggers did you have at MIT circa 1960, 1980, 1985? So all of a sudden, now that we don't have affirmative action, now that's the reason that we don't have no niggers. Now, again, the people who've benefited most from affirmative action classified as white. How is it that there's no dip in the population of white women? You renounce affirmative action, but you still got white women strong at MIT. How is that? And you still tell me that sexism and all that? You got Kamala Harris, you got to tell me about sexism every day. It didn't have no impact on the student population of white women at all? Come on now. Come on now. And then try and be slick about it. Blame it on China. Say it's that. No, man. I do not think Asian students run Harvard, Princeton, MIT, Yale, none of it. System of white supremacy. And they even mentioned Edward Bloom. He gets so much publicity. We just talked about Ed Bloom a myriad of ways. Let's see. One, he just filed a similar lawsuit. He was the white man who took the case to affirmative action over and over and over, got the case overturned last summer. Just filed a suit. They have a program, I think it's in the Washington, D.C. area, where they give out grants specifically to encourage black female entrepreneurs. And he filed a lawsuit saying the same thing, that this is racist against white people. Edward Bloom is at the center of the documentary Admissions Granted, just came out weeks ago, that I saw at the Seattle International Film Festival this spring. I wrote a review. It's on my blog, racism-notes.blogspot.com, where he called a black dean an affirmative action baby. He didn't say that to a white woman, and they bury at the end of the film, oh yeah, white women came up off of affirmative action, but they have Whoopi Goldberg tell us that. But Edward Bloom, he's the star of that film, whining and complaining, man, white people don't get a tough break, and it's messed up. Man, Asian people don't get a tough break. Man, it's messed up. Please. Incidentally, they said Ed Bloom didn't want to respond verbally, answer any questions for their story. He gave a verbal response that everyone at MIT knows that they entered that school by the merit of their comeuppance and hard work. Are you out of your melanin deficient deceptive mind, Edward Bloom? Dedicated race soldier comes in a lot of forms. Now you know that is not true. On legacy admissions alone, you know that is not true. On donor admissions alone, you know that is not true. On white supremacy racism alone, you know that is not true. We didn't even get to the cheating part of it. All that's cheating too, but we didn't even get to the cronyism and cheating part of all this. Please. Merit. Anyway, Admissions Granted review is up there. We address some of these very points. The segment where they talked about, oh, and the burnout, I forgot about that. That's so important, burnout with the nursing, because, you know, they might make you take the vaccine. Anyway, the final report on all of this new technology, and do they use it to ascertain if you are mentally fit to retain your job, and if you might develop Alzheimer's and all the rest of it. Wow. Again, is that in Brave New World? Did we read that? Is that in 1984? Like, what? How many jobs might have this sort of thing? Is this going to extend beyond CEOs? Or we, test your mental fitness there? They were already talking about technology for people that do trucking and such, to make sure that we don't have other accidents that might kill American treasures like Tracy Morgan. If you do like cross-country trucking and such, 18-wheelers, having neurotechnology to monitor, little drowsy, ding, 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 all that sort of like, whoa. What? I mean, that is mind, that's what I mean. Like, so are we going to sit around and read fiction and nonsense? Because like I said, I don't think those concepts specifically, that technology is not in Brave New World, Alex Huxley, like all the sci-fi that I'm aware of. That sort of technology is not there. Like, oh man, like that is something to think like. Who can even imagine now? What is that technology going to look like in 20 years? 10 years even? Whew. That's the sort of thing you should be talking to your children about. Thinking about this now, like, wow, just be looking at this so that you're not stunned so that you're already thinking questions to ask, like, what are you willing to sacrifice for a job? You heard some of the white people in there say, man, if it gets to that point, deuces, I'm out of here. Like, be thinking about that in advance. How much are you willing to sacrifice in terms of, are you willing to have an implant to drive this 18-wheeler so they can monitor, are you awake, are you drowsy, all that? Are you willing to sacrifice that for this job, for this career? That's something to think about. Okay, though. Get to the emails first, just because someone wrote me and I was looking forward to sharing about this. This is one of those that we've talked about. I'm of the opinion that we've talked about this a number of times. It is very important. Maybe we should emphasize this more frequently for people. I know some people have the critique that the context of white supremacy and Gus T specifically, we don't offer suggestions, or maybe don't give enough suggestions. How do we replace white supremacy with justice, or what specifically can be done to solve our problems and work towards that goal, at least in a piecemeal manner? This is a big one for the workplace. Discretion, and that's on the part of non-white people. When you go on that job with other people classified as white or non-white people, all eyes will be on you in a non-constructive manner. And because of that, that's why I say things like, when you go on these jobs, this is not a fashion show. I know it's autumn now. You might really want to show out. You can style and show off all of the leather jackets and sweaters and all of that, blazers and all of that. Save that for your free time. The job, you are not looking for people paying attention to what you wear and how much you spend on clothing and new jewelry and makeup and high heel. None of that. All of the focus should be on your brilliance and your value to the organization. And that's why Lakeisha deserves a raise. That's where the focus should be, not your new blazers. Kinky boots, that's what they called her. Nairobi, Madam Kinky Boots. Nah. You thinking of sexually inappropriate names for me. Nah. Kinky, see there? Kinky. Anyway, so we had a person write in beginning of the week. They said, greetings, Gus. I listened to the broadcast on and off since about 2015, and I must say you do amazing work. I guess I'm contacting you now to confirm that the Voltron effect is 100% real. Yes, I know. I've been dealing with it intensely for almost 5 years, and it has ruined my career and housing situation, as the property managers are now in on it. They probably were in on it beforehand, it being the system of white supremacy racism, and will continue to do unjust networking for God knows how long. I'm currently being gang stalked by neighbors as well. I'm wanting to know if you've ever met someone dealing with this and what you would recommend I do. P.S. This all started at the workplace when my manager caught me listening to one of Neely Fuller Jr.'s videos while I was working. He soon began being suspicious of me. He probably was before that. And he started doing things to mess with my emotions, started a rumor that he thought I was stealing. I soon noticed many of the delivery invoices had neo-Nazi code numbers on them, like 14 and 88. I did smile briefly because I did a whole video. It's on YouTube about the white supremacist coding of numbers like 88 and what have you. It features the late Pamela Evans Harris. I'll share it as we proceed. Anyway, numbers 14 and 88. And unfortunately, I got upset one day and let him know I knew what it meant. I did it in a covert way by writing similar coded numbers in my delivery time sheet. He's been harassing, stalking me ever since, even though I've changed jobs multiple times. I'm not sure what to do anymore, as it has affected everything in my life, and I recently had to quit my place of employment again. I did respond. He says to make sure you warn others to never, ever let them suspect you think they are racist, and to not listen to any counter-racist material on the job. This is, I guess, one of those, they say, learning the hard way. I think it's best, especially for the workplace, try to minimize having to learn things the hard way on the job. That's one of the things that I hope Neutralizing Workplace Racism can do, so that we don't have to experience that. But oh man, we have got this in the archives a number of ways. And again, maybe we should say this more regularly, but in the workplace, all eyes are on you. This is one I'm of the opinion it is an error not having appropriate understanding of what it means to be white. When you go on these jobs, white people, none of them, they're just not ignorant about racism, white supremacy. Once they find out you are a non-white person and you are a little bit less confused, you're trying, stumbling, fumbling, struggling to be universal woman, universal man. You are trying to study this problem. You are studying them. Anything of that sort, oh man, it is going to change drastically. All of everything you said, the unjust networking and communicating with others, all of that. As soon as they see what you're watching, what you're reading, what we've talked about this in a variety. We got it in the archives. We had a non-white person, and in fact, even other non-white people. That's why I stress united, independent, because the same thing could have happened if a non-white person saw you watching, listening to content of Neely Fuller Jr., Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Dr. Kamal Kambon, Dr. Marimba Ani, insert name, Cow's content, anything related to white supremacy, racism. We got it in the archives. It was a non-white male, I believe, male classified as black, talking to a black female. She let him know, I got a copy of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's book. They're talking about this in the workplace. She shows him the book. He snitches on her, and I'm using it in the context of Neely Fuller Jr. I'm going to go tell the white people in charge for personal gain. Might not even get anything. I'm going to just let them know you got this radical militant Negro. She's over here reading Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Do you see what she has to say about calling white people melanin deficient? Did you see this? You should fire her right now. Fire her right now. Got that in the archives. That's why I said, like, hey, you go on these jobs and such, no way. You're not one. No material that is not related to the job. Said that for years. That's why it's no pictures, knickknacks, none of that. Plants, none of that. None of that. At most, I said last week, maybe you break the rule, mini refridge. Maybe. That's the most. That's the most. That's a lot to have to pick up and move out if you get thrown out on your ear. I guess maybe security can bring your refrigerator if you get tossed, but other than that, and I mean, they got many refrigerators that are portable, that are the size of a lunchbox. So, I mean, hey, I think I would opt for the lunchbox version because now I don't need no help. If they throw me out, I can carry my lunchbox out on my own. Thank you. But no pictures, no knickknacks, no nothing. I'm not leaving anything up in the workplace for you to be studying and what they look at. Websites, I've said this repeatedly. You're in the workplace and you got, you have to sit at a computer terminal all day and you got Wi-Fi and all that. That does not mean you are sitting there on YouTube and you go back and hear what Welsing Institute, Dr. Welsing had to say about it. No, man, no. You should assume, and I guess, I wasn't thinking that way, and if people, aren't tech savvy or what have you, you should be thinking they're going to see every single website that I visited. All of them. They might look daily. It might be beyond just the IT people, supervisor, everybody. Oh, you were looking at me. I said, hey, in the workplace, I don't even want to look at the newspaper on their terminal. Really, even on their network. If I bring my own device in, phone or what have you, but I'm on their network, I'm not going and, searching like I'm at home on my network where I can just go willy-nilly and look at whatever I want to and all that. No way. All of this, if you are on their device or if you're using their Wi-Fi, I am not just going to any old site and looking at this and looking at that and listening. Nah, man. The most I might do is something like NPR, local news, something like that. Even that, like I said, I felt some type of way even going looking at the newspaper. Like, you don't need to know what article I listened to or what article I went to look at or anything of that nature. Like, I felt some type of way about that. Like, I think for NPR, they would just know that you were listening to NPR. You can just press play, boop, and that's that. I think you could probably get away with that in most environments. Not all. And even if you listen to NPR, they probably will ask you about the election. You might have a more difficult time. I would not promote any of that. in the workplace, what you listen to, news. I said if you bring a physical book into the workplace, get a book cover. I've said that for years. So if you're going to bring, I got to read Urugu, I got Downtown on the job, and I'm not going to be on my phone, great. But you got to be, hey, white people are nosy. You go to the bathroom, they're going to be coming. If you work at a desk, they're going to be coming, rifling through your desk. What you read? Urugu, let me write it. Y-U-R-G-U. Then just slide it back real quick and run it. Hey, how you doing, Leroy? Good to see you. All right, you going to have a good weekend? You got plans for Labor Day? Okay, I'm going to talk to Urugu, y'all. Go get Urugu. We're going to go check that one out and see what he read. Matter of fact, I don't have to make up nothing. This happened before the cows even existed. I had a victim of racism. We were talking. She wasn't, very interested in racism. I brought up the topic. I told her about Neely Fuller Jr. She was having some issues in the workplace, no less. I said, give Mr. Fuller a call. He always has great suggestions about the workplace and other, things obviously, but the workplace in particular. She calls Mr. Fuller, gentleman and a scholar. He says, I will send you some free books to study. Like I said, she wasn't into racism or anything like that. She's no problem. I'll send you some books just to study so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. She has the books sent to her place of work. She's a school teacher. The books get to her place of work and they come and say, oh man, you'll never believe it, Lakeisha. Some rats got into the package and the books were opened when they got here. So we just had to go ahead and look at it. She doesn't even study racism, white supremacy, racist suspect, none of that. She's not into any of that. She heard that and told me, rats got in my books. Rats, Brother Gus, got in my books. Rats on two legs. And you know how Dr. Wells can talk about they got the albino rats. Albino rats indeed got in my book and read the books. I didn't even know that they had literate rodents, but yes, at this school, it is so smart. The rodents are literate and they read Neely Fuller Jr. I wouldn't even get books. Really, I wouldn't get any packages mailed to your workplace unless, it would have to be something dire straits, mandatory. This is, really important item, has to be signed for. They will not leave it at my residence. There is nobody there to sign for it. They've tried. They've left me 2 notices. If it's not signed for the 3rd time, they're going to send it back. Got to get this delivered to the way. It would have to be something like that. I would recommend you do not need them knowing what you ordered, how often do you shop. Oh, whoops, it was open when we got here, so we just had to, oh, what did you get, Leroy? You gonna open that? None of that. None of that. Like I said, if you gotta bring a book to the workplace, that's an expense. You can get a brown paper bag, cover it, some scotch tape, make a book cover. They don't need to know what you're reading. Cover, author, none of that. I would even be discreet about reading it. If you're going to read a book, it's not quite wintertime yet. Go away from where the people that you work with are to read. You don't need them come, oh, what are you reading, Leroy? What's that all about? I've never even heard that before. Can I borrow that? None of that. None of that. None of that. Go sit in your car. Go outside. Go to the park. You need to get some vitamin D anyway. Go sit, across the street. go sit like at the bench or what have you and read that way. If you have a vehicle, go do that. Do not go just sit in the public area in your workplace, the break room, the cafeteria area, none of that, and let them see you reading. If you have an ebook or what have you, I would not, or a Kindle device, something of that nature, I wouldn't just leave it out at your workspace or what have you, because we've heard where people just have their phone charging on their desk and they get up to go to the lavatory and some white person goes and they're snooping, trying to see if I can get their password, see if I can get before Leroy get that sort of thing. So I would not leave it out so that they can go rifle and see what you read or anything of that nature. None of that. If you listen to content, you have it on your phone or something of that nature, I wouldn't have it playing out. I don't know if this person had Neely Fuller Jr. playing out loud at their work area, even in your vehicle. I would not have really any music playing out loud. Even if I was listening to the news, I wouldn't have it playing like on loudspeakers. Headphones. Whatever I'm listening for, this is not group activity. There's no reason that anybody else, where you work, even if you work with all black people, there's no reason they need to be listening to what you're listening to. If it's the news, counter-racist content, music, none of the above. Headphones, and I've said specifically, repeatedly, it should be one earbud max. Even if you have a headset, you can slide one earpiece away from your ear so that you can hear what's happening around you. We've had too many times where co-workers in the cubicle next to you, or sometimes they're not even on the same floor, but they have snuck away to come and snoop, spy on you, pull some sort of sabotage prank. Sometimes they're talking about you directly or swapping racist jokes or what have you. You're in a workplace. It should not be an experience where you cannot hear what's happening around you unless you're doing a business call. You're doing some sort of work-related transaction and you're on the phone. Totally different. You need to be focused for that. But I mean, if I'm just here typing away or doing whatever, like, oh no, I need at least one ear so I can hear what's happening around me. Something's being said. I'm being talked about. Like, I do not want it to be where I'm just oblivious and in my own world with my headphones on. No way. But never, I'm not playing any music out loud in the workplace. When you get to these jobs or what have you, again, have to be thinking they are very serious about practicing racism, white supremacy, and a big part of that is being extremely vigilant about their niggers. We've heard from so many non-white people over the years, just their behavior changed. It's not that the white people saw them reading, some controversial medical apartheid or something like that in the workplace or listening to content like that. They just saw a change in their behavior. They used to be, jocular. They would go to happy hour and have drinks and, all of that. Cut out all that behavior. Now they're serious. Yes, sir. No, sir. Don't happy hour. No, can't make happy hour. That alone. What is going on with Leroy? Used to be so cool, man. We used to have a good time, man. Now you're all stiff and quiet and you don't do happy. We used to go and do tequila shots and everything, man. Now you just sitting around drinking water all day long, being quiet and asking questions and writing things down in the book. And man, you changed, Leroy. We have heard that repeated. People got fired over and over and over just on that alone. So when you go on these jobs, you are not, I cannot stress enough, you are not bringing anything that is not related to your job, anything else, particularly something like that, counter-racist content. Oh man, you got to treat that like crack cocaine in the workplace, and I'm using that metaphor specifically. Say, oh man, you can't compare, logic that's supposed to solve problems to narcotics. That is the way that the race soldiers that you're around and lots of non-white people, that's the way that they are going to think about that content. And that's the way that they're going to treat you. Discretion. I can't say it enough. Discretion. Discretion. I wouldn't even bring like a hard copy book. Man, I think that is so risky in a work environment, like, because you just don't have, everybody has to get up and go to the bathroom. Everybody. You're going to be there for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. Everybody has, unless you can put it in like a locked drawer for that 5 minutes. And even then, you're the only person that has a key to that drawer? Really? I don't know. I would be leery about bringing any sort of book, hard copy to the workplace. And then, like I said, content that you're going to listen to, it better be on your phone and headphones. If it's not going to be that, well, you got to put it up on their device of any sort, or it's got to be on a loudspeaker. You don't have to wait and listen to that another time. Maybe I'd do the news. That's maximum. Real talk, I wouldn't even want them to see me like watching the Democratic National Convention speech or anything like that. Not in the workplace, and I wouldn't watch that on their device. I don't want to answer any questions about that. That's not appropriate for the workplace. And if I say that to them for me asking a question like that, they might say the same. Well, why are you watching it at work? Good point. Discretion. I cannot say it enough, especially heading into election. See those debates and all that stuff start popping up. Like, oh man, none of this. I'm not talking about any of this. We're just talking about the job in the workplace, period. Nothing else. I don't have an opinion on anything else. I'm just here to talk about the job and make as much money as I can. Learn about racism and make as much money as I can. That's it. You know my reading tastes, current literature, all of that, what I'm listening to, my playlist, none of that is going to help me get a raise. None of that. Discretion. That your responsibility. Maximum discretion in the workplace. Can't be right. And again, what does it mean to be classified as white? They're going to be snooping and paying attention to everything you do in the workplace. I cannot stress that enough. Act according, maximum discretion on their device. Like, I hope, I don't know all the details, but man, you cannot be looking at no Neely Fuller Jr., context of white supremacy, nothing else counter-racist related on their devices. Even if you get to take it home, I would not use that device to do any of your searching, listening, counter-racist scientific duties. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The only books I would have in my, if you have a workplace office or a workplace area, would be books for the job. You do computer programming, obviously you might have some books on computer programming. You go to school or what have you, you teach languages, you might have some books on languages, some dictionaries, what have you. Books related to the job. It's not that? No, this is not my personal library of what I think is important to read. Let's see. Folks have observations, thoughts to share. 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Any folks have, I guess, any suggestions to help, I guess, making sure to emphasize that portion and being cautious? I know I can recall we've had a number of folks who've talked about this over the years. I think retired firefighter talked about this. I think he had Malcolm X's autobiography when he was on the fire department, and that caused a big stink where they got all upset with him. Like, see, told you, got, terrorist Opalaka 3 in here doing all this and reading this radical same to it. They ready to throw him out of the fire department for reading about Detroit Red. So, like I said, we got this in the archives over and over. I think this sort of thing that we've talked about, but I guess it bears lots of repeating, like many other aspects of counter-racism. And again, I think a lot of this just relates back to fundamentally, we do not understand what it means to be white. We are very resistant. If you want to call it being suspicious of all white people, we are very resistant to actually applying that to our thought, speech, action, emotions. It's just not there. We go and we'll see Chad, Chip, Regina, these other white people in our workplace and just don't think this is a racist. How would a racist respond seeing one of their victims listening to Neely Fuller Jr.? Might not be pleased about that. Like, man, you supposed to be listening to Lil Wayne and Cat Williams. I didn't put, man, what is name calling, man? You supposed to be out here finding some black people to name call, not trying to be constructive with your time and energy. Like, man, I'm not. Anyway, folks have tips on the discretion component. Or I guess if we got some more fails, so do we have any other folks? You went in the workplace and were searching around on the device, listening to Harriet A. Washington on the workplace computer, or sharing Dr. Welsing's books, Neely Fuller's writings with your coworkers, and found out that didn't get you a raise, didn't get you a promotion. We got other illustrations, or if you got other problems, what have you, to share, feel free. Let's see. First few folks dialed in with a hand up. Let's see.
Greetings, everyone.
retired firefighter in Florida. Did I lie? Let's make sure I'm not telling lies on victims. So, did you get in trouble? They were ready to throw you out of the fire department because you had Detroit Red's autobiography?
That's kind of like what took place. But I was, quite sure that if it did happen, that it probably would be some pushback, because at that particular point in time, there were all other types of literature. At that time, I'm trying to think, VHS was popular, and through that, it was all other kind of political and or pornographic material that was openly used in the firehouse. So there was somewhat of an attempt, but basically what I mentioned when the chief stated to me, "Would you like for someone to bring something in about the Ku Klux Klan? How would that affect you?" I said, "I would like to read what that person brought in. If he has something like that, he or she has something like that." And basically they left that alone. They left the whole situation alone. But I'm going to say the reason why I tuned in is because I want to say I would advise everyone that is hearing what you stated is to follow that direction. Do not attempt to do anything of that nature at your workplace. I'm talking about something that I was doing something like 25, 30 years ago. And I wouldn't have, and at that point in time, they were a little bit more sloppier, because it wasn't that many non-white people on the job in the first place. But things are a lot more different now. Everything Gus was saying is correct from my experiences, and from that standpoint, I would advise everything that he stated to follow those directions. In other words, follow logic. If you don't want the people on your job to know you as someone who is not working, you only want them to know you while you're on the job, and that is from the standpoint of you being the best employee that you possibly be. Well, don't bring that kind of material on the job, that sort of thing. And also, I was doing it also basically to get the effect that I was going to get from it. And but don't do that. Don't do that on the job. You would have a lot of problems. The system of racist white supremacy over the course of the last 30 years have also improved also against their victims. So that's what I called in to state.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. Discretion, cannot recommend that enough in the work environment. Just thinking that you are amongst enemies. You don't have friends, homies, people that got your back, as they say. You are amongst enemies, people that do not have your well-being in mind. That being said, I'm not going to do anything to aid their sabotage of my workplace success. That being said, leave those books. And I even said before, if you leave them in the car, don't just leave it out on the, front seat, cover up so they can just walk by and, oh, ISIS papers, Francis, check. No, man. Put it in the trunk. Put it under the seat. If you got, if you're ladies, if you got a purse that's big enough, put it in the purse and, close it up, put that under the seat, put it in the trunk, whatever. But discretion. reading. We're not even supposed to be reading, right? We're supposed to be dancing and doing all the latest moves and such. So that alone is going to stand like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nigga, is really this going on? Jim Jones was stealing books. We just read that. He was stealing books from the black people in the congregation before they even got down to Jonestown. So, man, discretion. And if you work in an environment where they have Wi-Fi, you know, on a device, they give you a phone or whatever it is, the same applies to that device. You are not just searching willy-nilly and, oh man, I'm going to go to Talk Team. And you're not, wrong. They are looking at every website that you visit, hang out on, all of that. YouTube, what you watched, all of that. Nothing. All of your personal searches and what have you, that is on your own personal device. Like I said, I would discourage viewing any of that on their network and or device. Other folks dialed in. If you have commentary to share, proceed.
Hello.
Black female caller in Georgia. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having the best evening they can have. I'm sorry that person went through that, but I agree with you and Mr. Firefighter. Don't bring anything that you're not willing to discuss at work. You know, I'm not, you know, if you don't want to talk about your family, don't bring pictures of your family. Whatever, if you don't want to discuss it, don't bring it up. I believe we've talked about this, like I said, over and over. Keep it simple. You know, I know people used to make fun of Condoleezza Rice because she had that one hairstyle. I think she flipped the ends. Who cares? She was neat and professional. Keep it simple. Go on about your business. I do have to admit, one time when I was teaching, I had a student who he was teammates because he was on a football team with another student. He was non-white and his teammate was white, and his white teammate was using him to advance, you know, academically in the class. And in fact, the substitute, I believe, caught him and blah, blah, blah. And so I told him, I was like, you know, you have to be careful, blah, blah, blah. And I have to admit, I did give him a copy of, I believe, the ISIS papers and Neely Fuller's book. I said, take this home, like, you know, don't bring it out, you know, wait till you get home from home. And that was risky because he would have been classified as black, but I don't know what his parents were. You know, he could have been adopted and had white parents, so that was risky. I definitely would not do that again. But I did not do follow-up. I didn't go, did you start reading and anything? I gave him the book and I left it alone. I don't think I would do that again. And, you know, he didn't bring it up again. You know, he finished the class, did fine. I didn't bring it up again. I left it alone. But in general, I would not do that. You know, keep, you know, the food choices, you know. And sometimes you're at work and you have to eat your lunch, whatever. You know, I don't think that's I feel horrible. I know people, they want to express themselves, you know, as best they can, but that's not the time to pull out your creative Tabitha Brown or Junior Child recipes, you know, PB&J. I mean, you know, keep, you know, oh, she's boring vanilla. He's boring, whatever. Okay, fantastic. But they know how to get the job done. Like you said, that's what you want to be known for, getting the job done. If you have to work on the team, being a good teammate, showing up on time, doing the things they're supposed to do. They're going to look for a reason to get rid of you. They look for a reason to get rid of everybody. They want to cut costs, and, you know, they feel it's easier to get rid of you because you're non-white and they probably believe you're more expendable, you know, than someone who is, well, I should say you're black, who's not classified as black. You know, don't do your best not to give them, you know, for them to have to make up a reason. Again, policy and procedures, you know, some of that could be discriminate, count, I think, as Mr. Firefly said, I should say said, but implied could be counted as discrimination. Why are you reading that? Even myself, I work at home, I don't look up, racism online on the work computer. I don't do that. That's, I may look up some Bible study sermons, and that they have access to some training. Somebody take some classes, CPE credits. I'm not trying to, let's say, entertain myself with their computer, because they, like I said, they get it back, they check them, and the company is very good about seeing if you have something that is inappropriate. Your boss will be notified, and they will let you know this is on your computer, get rid of it, something like that. Just do your best with that. I agree with you when you were talking about the students from the penitentiary. If you help people in the front end, of course you may not have so many students from the penitentiary, but that's what America does. They're very good at, I believe, what they call acute care, even in the hospitals. Preventative medicine. What is that? But every drug to solve, quote unquote, every problem, America seems to find and promote and wants to charge you a lot of money for. They'll tell you to take Ozempic before they tell you to go to the gym. So that's how it's done here. Again, hope everyone has the best weekend they can have. Of course, be careful, be safe, and have a blessed weekend. Thank you.
Much obliged. Black female caller in Georgia. Be known for being punctual, being on time, not because of what books that you brought in to read and all the rest of it. I love it. Say it again. If you can't be early, be on time. Every day. Code. I plan to be there 15 minutes, 20 minutes before I'm scheduled to start work. Every day. Every shift. And that's your read time right there. Now, we cut a whole lot of that out right there. We don't even have to worry about whatever it is that you're reading. Reading, more important than watching television. That said, you get to work 15 minutes early, 20 minutes early. I sit in my car. That's not wasted time. I read here where it's safe. I don't have all those racist eyeballs. What you reading? What is that? Who wrote that? Where did you get that from? None of that. I can read and focus my brain computer. So help me be thinking. Oh, that's right. I'm going around all these race soldiers. Get me thinking. What questions they might ask. Things they might bring up. Get my brain computer working. Maybe I'll read some words in here that I'll use as I'm moving along. And then you hide that book in the car before you leave. Again, if you do not, maybe you're trying to lessen that carbon footprint, as they say, and you do not drive, fine, it's still warm. You should be able to, there's no bench close to the workplace. Even, I know a lot of work areas, they are massive. I've worked places where you could just go outside and walk around to the rear part of the building or a different part where you are totally alone. Nobody would see, even in the building that might have 200 people or more. Totally alone. You could do that as long as it's still warm, not raining. Park close by, anything of that nature, I would do that. Find an area in the building where there's no one there or what have you. Or, like, again now, if really you cannot pick out a location, you can't go in your office, close the door, that sort of thing, I would not sit out in public, in a workplace, reading a book. I'm just not going to do it. And I wouldn't even be watching YouTube or what have you unless it was on my phone and in a discrete area with headphones. Might be the same thing. Go to your vehicle, go to that around the back of the building, go for a walk and listen. If you got the audiobook, you can go for a walk and listen to your audiobook. But I would not just be with a hard copy book, legs crossed, sitting out in public, like I said, at the cafeteria, in the lunch break area, reading a book, no. And I'm not just going to be sitting out flagrantly with a device, even my personal device, pulling up something on YouTube where they can just walk by and, oh, not to see that. Who is this Neely fella? No. And you're never listening to anything without headphones, earbuds. Got to be, private. Other folks who dialed in, hand up. Line should be open. Proceed.
May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, and greetings to all the COWS listeners and callers. So you're saying I shouldn't bring message to the black man to work, Gus? Is that what you're saying?
If you like hanging out there, it might be a little risky. Just my VGQ. I don't think too many white people. I don't think they dig Minister Farrakhan, but that's Elijah Muhammad. They don't like him either. Neither one. Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad. No, they. I don't think white people are going to what they say skyrocket you up the corporate ladder based on message to the black dude.
Yes, sir. Yes, I definitely would agree with that. I think your trajectory will be downward, not upward, about that. But the portion of the clips about California and the I guess minimum wage increase, I think that only affected fast food workers because a lot of people I know have not experienced that. So I guess we'll have to see what's going on there. The portion about the healthcare workers, I have a couple of people in my family who do a nursing thing, and they have concurred with that finding that there's a lot of lacking in employment and a lot of lacking in, I guess, support to help out with elderly. So yeah, that is definitely a solid point. I suspect. And they also told me they also work with a lot of people from out of the country too, who have been transported here to be a nurse. So that's another something to consider, like you said earlier. Today at my employment, we got a reprimand from one of the social workers today, but the reprimand was invalid. Considering that the reprimand was about the portion of work that is distributed that we have no control over. But in this situation, I believe that they were just finding a way to redirect blame because some of their workers tended to complain that they were getting too large of a portion of the work distributed out to them unevenly. Even though we have no control over that, that is the work of the supervisor of that day, and the supervisor changes day by day. And I noticed that also that supervisors do not give or have a conversation with each other to kind of rectify it. They kind of like throw off responsibility to the next day supervisor to try to straighten out what happened before. So they're not really working together from what I see. And I hope that this year that this system of racism and white supremacy. Oh yeah, about famous Amos and his cookie. I've had some of his cookies. They're really good. He also lived in Hawaii. Hawaii is beautiful, by the way. I would love to live there if I had a chance. But yeah, that's what I want to say today. And thank you for taking my call, Gus. I'll be my line.
Hawaii is beautiful, for sure. I think he said that he has folks in his attempted family who are in the nursing industry who co-sign on the same thing, same observations about, how wretched the enforcement is and how lax with the policies and what have you, that, man, if you're going into that field, it would be a lot to consider. At minimum, you should go and talk to some black people who have worked in the nursing industry for a few years, especially in the line of nursing that you want to do. Go see what their experience is and ask them, so do you think you see yourself doing this work in 5 years, and see what they say. And try to talk to 3-4 black people in the nursing profession that you want to do specifically, and see, especially now if we've had a good 4 or 5 years of COVID. Oh man, yes, go ask them. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I'm excited, want to go into nursing. They say it's jobs. What do you think? You tell your offspring. Yeah, ask them. Do you tell your offspring this is a field that you should think about? Walk in mom and dad's footsteps, as they say. Go in and be a professional nurse. See it. What do they tell their offspring? That is a field for sure. I say this for everybody. Research racism in your field. Doesn't matter what your field is. If it's firefighting, police work, law, nursing, hospital, taxes, mental health, whatever, teaching, research racism in your field. That can encompass lots of things. Research on how black people are hired in your field, how black people experience racism in your field, lots of things. But research racism in your field. There's lots of research. I've seen tons of reports just on the racism that black females, or black nurses experience just, within the last year or so. Research racism in your field. Let's see. Certainly him talking about the, and for that, I don't think we've had anybody, because I've never heard anybody say, yes, I brought Elijah Muhammad's literature to the workplace, and Brother Gus, I got a raise, promotion, Krispy Kreme gift card. I've never heard that. Never. Even with the black people who work with other black people. I've never heard that. I think we got some folks who said, they had maybe exchanged a kind word, what have you. Even I think caller in Georgia said she shared those two books, Dr. Welsing, Mr. Fuller, but risky. Absolutely. Oh man, you have no idea. You give it to a child, and oh man, do they have, as she said, do they have white adopted parents? Do they have, parents who don't think racism exists? Which lots of that out there too. Risky. I told you we got it in the archives. Black person, hey, black brother, Dr. Welsing, looking out folks with melanin. You should check it out. He waited, I think, about 5 minutes. Boss, coon on that hall down yonder. Look what she reading. Fire right now. I shouldn't be laughing, but United Independent. That is in the archives. United Independent. You do not have homies and what have you in the workplace. Just because that person is classified as black does not mean they are interested in counter racism at all. At all. They might be the first one. Go drat on you. See, you got some Neely Fuller Jr. up on the screen, or whatever book that you brought in, or like I said, just being careless and having, if you got the ebook or something on your phone and you just leave it out, to go to the bathroom. I said, everybody, hopefully you're drinking that water. We all got to go to the bathroom. You step away for 5 minutes and they got to be snooping and what you doing, looking. Maximum discretion, man. Maximum discretion. If you're going to step away, I would at minimum, I wouldn't have any of that stuff on my screen. I can't say it enough. I wouldn't have any of that stuff on my screen. It would just be things related to the job. If you're going to listen to any of that content on YouTube or what have you, I wouldn't be on their network either. If you're going to be on your phone, on your network, you should be able to pick that phone up and go with you. If you're charging your phone, you charge it while you're there. When you go to the lavabo, when you get up, the phone leaves with you. I know it's terrible to say that way, but I mean, we got that in the archives too, where people literally, they got up, they didn't say that they had a medical condition or were suffering from botulism. So this is just going to be a quick tinkle, back to the work. in that short, we call it 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, dang, they've been messing with my phone. Look at this. That's the environment that we live in. So unless you're going to pull up and, I got to get through the day. I got to hear a little bit of Pamela Evans Harris. I got to hear a little bit of Dr. Curry to get through the day. Okay, that's with headphones, and it's on your phone. You're not leaving that phone on the desk when you get up, go to the lavatory. It goes with you. That's about it. I can't really think of anything else. Like the rest of it, no, I mean, if it's on their device, it's on their network. So that's a double whammy. Can't leave the phone there. Like discretion. You just can't be leaving stuff around. Not in the environment we live, especially not election season. Ooh-wee. I wouldn't even want to leave, like I said, if I was just reading a New York Times article about the Democratic National Convention. No way. Man, I got to come back and answer questions about that. Voting for Kamala Harris, are you, comrade? Like, man, nope. Let's see. Number is 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If I could just say quickly, young lady in Georgia, black female, she was talking about the food component, and I don't know if you have to suffer. Well, I won't say suffer because I know some people. I enjoy peanut butter. I love some peanut butter. But I wouldn't say that you have to suffer to have a peanut butter sandwich. I would just say the same thing I said with the book. You make whatever you make. You bring in your lunch. Same way I said you don't have your food in their refrigerator. Don't eat around them either. That way, whatever, if you got leftovers, you had extravagant meal yesterday evening and you can have the rest for lunch today, great. I'm going to go in my office, close the door, do not disturb, have my lunch peacefully. Or same thing I said, you can go sit out in the car, go sit outside. That's another conversation because I'm not interested in having a whole, where did you go out to eat? What's your favorite restaurant? That. And I've seen that one get real tacky before as well, regardless of what you're eating. Yeah, in fact, even if I was eating a peanut butter sandwich, I would be waiting for the George Washington Carver jokes. I wouldn't even do my peanut butter sandwich out publicly. I'm going to eat that in my office or go sit in the car, go sit at the park, whatever, eat that too. Shout out to George Washington. He had lots of recipes for like peanut butter cookies. I think he had like a fake meat recipe, like clowning, melanin, Dr. George Washington Carver. Anyway, yeah, eat great food. Bring in your own lunch. Just don't store it in the refrigerator so they can't swang you. That's another one. You don't leave that around either so that they can, put their paws all over your food items. Listener-supported counter-racist radio, the context of white supremacy. Hit the blog, racism-notes.blogspot.com. You'll see the PayPal button in the top right corner. You can take a glance at the review of Admissions Granted, the documentary about affirmative action, where they, again, call a black dean an affirmative action baby, but can only get Whoopi Goldberg to quickly tell us that white women benefit most and then move right along. Edward Bloom stars in the film. Anyway, hit the blog, racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button, top right corner. You'll see the links, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Much obliged for all the folks who have invested, hopefully worthy of your time and energy. You can hit the Amazon wish list as well, Amazon.com under Gus T. Renegade. Huge thanks to all the investors who've nabbed an item or three from the wish list, including my wok, which I put to such great use. After the book club yesterday, I made sweet and sour cauliflowers, but sweet and sour pork, Chinese favorite staple, sweet and sour cauliflower with veggie fried rice, meal of the summer. Like, wow, absolutely, with the pineapple, absolutely amazing. Put the pictures up. I had forgot because I hadn't had sweet and sour cauliflower. I had made it before, but I hadn't had it in a while. But I forgot, like, oh yeah, that was actually one of the things that I most enjoyed about making in my wok once I got it was sweet, which is wild because I was not a fan of sweet and sour pork at all, like ever. I've eaten lots of Chinese food and famous Amos cookies in my days, but sweet and sour pork, no. Sweet and sour cauliflower, I don't think you could fool people. Pork is not cauliflower, but it is, the sauce is exact restaurant replica. The pineapple, wow, just amazing. Eat well. You could take that to work. I could take that to work. I just wouldn't, for sure, I would not eat that around white people because I'm not interested in having no long conversation, how long you've been plant-based, or if they think, oh, you're not eating chitlins? You got your old regular sweet and sour porky there. None of that. None of that. I would go eat quietly. In fact, I even saw where they were ridiculing non-white people about the aroma and scent from their food. So for even that reason, nope, not going to get, unless I do just have a sandwich, but like I said, even then I'm not eating around them, but nope, not going to be something with, oh, all that garlic, it's got in my nostrils. You know, all them dark people got all your curry. Not going to hear any of that either. Thank you kindly. Eat well. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Bay Area Mommy. Yes, ma'am.
Greetings to you all. Thank you for taking my call. You said something, books in the workplace. The only time I don't bring stuff or share my information like that at work. But I remember one time before I had the baby, the last baby, well, the boy, before I had the boy, I had got a Bible for my daughter, and the characters in the Bible were black because it was for children of color. And I do remember bringing it to work with me, and I brought it, I'm not 20, but I brought it to work because I think I wanted to look at the pictures because that Bible had a lot of colored pictures. So I was looking at it, and one of the, oh, what's that? A white guy with a Spanish parent asked, what was it? You know, oh, it looks like Eddie Murphy, you know, the characters. But after a while, it going because the Bible circulated in our little section, and he got angry. So they kind of got angry. So I never brought anything like that to work, even to review for myself. I didn't think it was a big deal, but it was a big deal. That's just that. Like I said, that was before I had the last baby. So that was my early on experience. So no, I wouldn't do anything like that. I didn't get upset. I just thought it was interesting to get the reaction of people that weren't black, and they saw that. So my work, I missed all the clips. And even when I was leaving, as I got off, because I get off work at 6, because I stayed for extended care to help the school. And, of course, it's not for free. I had someone ask me for a ride. So even with the book club, she asked for a ride then. So I'm like, all right, I'll just call in after that. But this time I had already dialed in. And so I'm walking to my car. Can I get a ride or no? You know, and you don't want to, I'll give you a ride. You can have a ride. So you have to be silent on the phone. What is it? Something, whatever she asks. No, it's my program. So I'm just driving her home. See, you say Beyonce? Because that's when you were talking about famous Amos. So I'm just speeding, just run to her and drop her off. So maybe she felt away because I wasn't communicating or listening to more information. Gus, I work my timesheet is 45 hours and 20 minutes. That's how many hours I get paid. I'm monitoring the lunch break. I am at that school from 7:30 to 6 in the evening. I do not want to talk more about work on the weekends or after work. So I try to be courteous. Everybody has your phone number because we all work, get everybody's number, write your number, because we're all, so we can connect about these kids. But it turns into, like, people want to be your friends. Can I come to your house? No, for what, ma'am? Come to my house. How come? Because I'm trying to get away from my mama's house. And now it's like, mind you, guys, I started on the 15th of July. We all, even this other young lady, this is the one that got beat out of her. She got, I don't want to say beat. Someone came in while she was taking her parent exam. That's this young lady. So I'm not friendly. I try to be cordial, but I'm not that friendly. So they're all talking. People are liking this person. Next thing, turn around. Mind you, we just got there. This person is like this person, like this. It's just a hot mess. And then it's really, I just didn't expect it. We just got there. This one gentleman, he's been there for 9 years, and then the word is he's black, that he's, sleeps with all the ladies. It wouldn't be me because we're not at that same level of age, but just in general how tacky it is at this black school. You said earlier about being watched. We're watched. I am so watched. I'm always watched. I noticed when I was at that other middle school that I was watched, but I'm ultra watched at this Negro school. So I was told that the psychiatrist, somebody pulled me in the office and just was telling me that they just wanted to thank me because ever since I got there and was in action, we were doing professional development for 3 weeks, but once school started, so we're in our third week of school, I'm doing what I have to do. So I know I'm being watched, but I never focus on being watched. I'm never looking around or looking to see who see me or doing anything to be noticed. I just do my stuff. I do what I have to do, and I stick and move, and I'm all over the place so much I don't notice that I'm there as long as I am because I'm always in action. So I was told that the child that I'm with, and I'm not the only one with the child, but I'm the one that wants to see something happen with the child. I don't want to babysit the child locked in a sensory room all day from 8:30 to 3. That is not what I'm going to do. He would sleep the first week of school. He would go in there and sleep. So when I would leave, say I get him out the car at 8:30, we go upstairs, do whatever we're going to do. By 9:30, I go into push in another kid's room or child's room, push back in him. I see him back and forth maybe 3 or 4 times a day. He sleep. When I get back after, let's say if I come back, I leave him at 9:30. When I get back there, let's say 11:30, 11:40 maybe. That's what time I get up there. 11:40, I walk back up there. He sleeps till 3. Until a week ago when I told the BCBA that it doesn't make sense because even though I'm a peer educator, Gus, I operate like a behavior tech. So I deal with everything different. I'm trying to change behaviors. I'm trying to replace behaviors. I'm not trying to help you do your homework and help you do this. No, that's not how I function. So, and I don't need it to be that easy to where I'm babysitting because that's basically what they were doing with this one young man. He's 7 years old. You got him reading, okay, what's your name? Blam. What school you go to? Blam. When your birthday? Blam. What's your phone number? Blam. How old are you? Then on the how old are you little Velcro thing, it said 6. He's 7. why does it say 6 and he's 7? He turned 7 in April, so why does it say 6? So when we had that professional development day, I think it was last week, I just redid his stuff and went and found a 7 and threw that 6 and something else because he's 7. So he was in the room for just sleep. I stopped to sleep, so he hasn't been sleeping a week. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but he hasn't been sleeping a week. I keep him doing something. He has a little behavior sometimes because we're just trying to get him out of the room and doing something. Sometimes he'll demonstrate behaviors just for you to leave him alone and allow him to be, and maybe do sleep. He'll sleep. Now he's on the iPad, but he'll just sleep. He has a classroom teacher. Didn't even know until yesterday the BCBA told me he had an actual teacher. So he hasn't even been in that classroom. We went and visited today with the BCBA when nobody was there during lunchtime. I was told if it wasn't for me, he'd still be locked up in that room and his program would still be the same. Because I communicate with the BCBA and willing to do the work, we changed his program around, and the school psychologist told me that as well, that I'm changing things for him. So the principal told me that we see you. And I know they're watching me, but I think they were watching me thinking I would do something different or just be an average at best. They didn't know I was going to come in there and start changing programs. Even though I'm a para, I work with the school psychologist and the BCBA. And I think that bothers people because I'm supposed to only be a para. But the way I move, you can't just put me in that box. And then on top of that, they also have to allow me to work under the BCBA so I can keep my credentials. They don't have to, but they are going to have to, because other than that, I'll leave. And you don't need me to leave. Not right now. So, and it shouldn't kill anybody. I'm not asking for pay increase. I just need to keep my credentials. So the catch was the child came in with a BCBA because they ended up having to get him in-home services, but something happened. They were supposed to come this Monday, but that stopped because they said it was against policies for these people to come in. So now you're back to me in the BCBA. So I guess that's good for me because I didn't want to lose my RBT credentials. And it's also good for me because I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something to help. And I engage with a lot of children because I do morning care, because they were leaving the kids out on the grass at the park in West Oakland until school can't open at 8-something. With me and whomever else that volunteered to work in the morning there at 7:30, the children are inside, not sitting outside at the park, and eating, doing whatever they have to do, and then we set them back. I walk them back outside at 8:15 so they can line up and get ready to go in after they do their little chant libation. I'm actually proud of myself because of how I operate since I came in here, with all eyes on me and all this foolishness going on, with all the under 40 crowd. Even one of some other lady, I was told today, she's in a different position in there. I forgot what she does, but she does something. But she dated dated this one guy that everybody's trying to talk to. It's just a sad mess. And I guess I see if that's what's going on with the adults, all this weird stuff, all this personal stuff, it does affect the children and their learning. And it will show why maybe they're behind and stuff too, because the adults are so focused on their personal life. It's complicated to give structure or time or even have patience with these children that live in this area that really need assistance. It's hard because it's a lot of hard work, and that's why I work the hours. And then you have staff members, you're here in the morning and after? Well, I wouldn't do that. I know you wouldn't. That's why they failing. I know what I'm doing, Gus. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm giving. The morning care is a stipend, so maybe whenever stipend checks come out, that's that. It's only 45 minutes. I still, on my timesheet, it's 45 hours a week. I know what I'm doing. I'm giving back. My son was in the after-school program, Gus, from first grade, if I'm not mistaken, all the way to high school. And the only reason why he wasn't in the after-school program in high school is because they probably didn't have it in high school, and he went to the little fancy performing arts school. So I just figured, why not pay forward? I needed that help. And if I could, in a struggling black school, I'm on it. Neely Fuller said, help the people that need the most help. The people that need the most help should get the most constructive help. So that's what I'm doing. That's my purpose. And I don't mind. The adults are just the adults. I tune them out. I speed right. I say, hey, and I spin on right past. It's the ones that just want to hold me and catch my attention and stuff that they're a little bothered. But I try, I'm still cordial. Okay. But I'm about the children and working with them. And then the lack of patience. A lot of these children have disabilities. They don't even have the patience for that. You can look at them and tell they got a lot of little neural issues. Have some patience. Where are your patience, adults? So it's that kind of stuff. So I'm not complaining, Gus. I don't complain to anybody. I just do whatever I'm assigned. I just do it to the third power. So I'm about my stuff, Gus. So I'm going to mute my line, and thank you for taking my call.
Right on, Bay Area Mom. Neely Fuller Jr. did say that help those who need the most help. Throwaway children classified as black. Definitely got to be in the running for those in need of most help. Wow. Commendable. Even tied back to Bay Area scholar, and man, I was struggling. I said that is the hardest job in the known universe, being an attempted parent. I remember when I was struggling, attempted parent, needed some help, and all those years of him being in the after-school program and paying it back. I know what I'm doing, helping those who need the most help. Thrown away black children. That is spirit of Dr. Welsing. That was why she was a general and child psychiatrist. All those years trying to help black people, man. Why she spent all that time hanging out with us here. Not because I'm cool. Trying to help black people. People who need the most help. Wow. Kudos again, Bay Area Mom, helping out the little folks in Bay Area, California. That idiot, don't we hear time to time, be patient with other black people? They're not even patient with the children. Dang, I mean, man, how are you a teacher with young people, especially young people they said that have special needs, so-called, and you are impatient? What? Man, that should be right up there. Correct intentions, patience, doing this job. Like, gee whiz. Let's see. Importantly, she told us the why. This is why I do this. It's not for the nickels. It is to help black children. She said the other staff, they're doing all kinds of craziness, sexual intercourse with each other and gossiping and kicking it and whatever else they're doing. she said, I know why I'm here. I don't get into all that. I'm not looking to get in their dating circles and all this and go kick it and go to their house and watch Netflix. I don't do all that. But I'm still cordial. I'm still cordial. She said, I speak to the, but she didn't say, I give the cold shoulder to everybody. I scowl. She didn't say that. I'm cordial. I speak to, that's exactly what I emphasize all the time. You are not going to be a mute. We did ask for the job, required system of white supremacy. So we're going to try to keep it as long as we can, knowing that they could throw us out here next 5 seconds. That's Bay Area, might be today. That's another reason why I don't have all those knickknacks and things piled up in my office, because they could throw me out today. So I still speak. I'm cordial, long as I'm allowed to work this job. Very important. I don't know how that happens, but sometimes people interpret, I guess because we say, hey man, we're not on the job to be telling jokes, and talking about all the giggles and, oh man, you still following them Raiders, man, they stole our team, but I still keep up with them down in Vegas. None of that. That doesn't mean you don't talk at all. It should be lots to talk about. We got all these children, academic plans and all the rest of it, school year, but it's loads to talk about. We're just going to keep it focused on the workplace, being professional, being courteous, very important for the work of counter racism. Now, she said, I guess it was a young lady who, got a ride, I guess, right on Bravo, helping another non-white person. With a white person, I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. If I wanted them in my car, I definitely wouldn't want them to know where I live. Either or. She gives the young lady, victim, gives her a ride. And she says, let's kick it. We can go watch a little Netflix because I don't want to go out of my house right now. What? What? Man, I would not recommend any of that. Just casual what? Wow. Yeah, I do not recommend kicking it like that with coworkers. That just same thing with the dating. These are not your homies, friends. We just work together. You can be cordial. That does not mean we need to be going to happy hour and you need to come and spend the night at my house and all the boundaries. This is just a professional arrangement here, business hours type thing. Even with other non-white, because again, you don't know, they might not be interested in counter racism at all. Thinking, hey, we can go to your house. You got any wine? Or they see, here we go. Let's see. She was talking about the young fella that she works with being locked in the sensory room for hours and hours and hours. He just goes in there, knocked out sleeping all day. Where's the academic progress in it? These are people, she said, that need the most help. Snoozing. Nonsense where can't even get his name right. She said the little brother is 6. And say, hey, little black brother, right on. You're 7 now. We switch it up, make a party of that, and we got you a few double stuffed Oreos. None of that. Can't even be bothered to switch the year up. That's how much you all, how much effort you put into me. I get a birthday or what have you. I didn't say you got to bring me a whole cake or even a cupcake. Can I get an update? That's normally a big deal. Like 6 to 7 and again. Nah, man. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get when you turn 8. We're gonna do it for sure. We might even get that cupcake when you turn 8. Black male privilege. She said she got the little fella. We're not gonna keep doing this. I changed it. We got a 7. Hard work there. And then, no, we're not just going to the sensory deprivation room sensory room, whatever, and snooze all day long. Nope. We're going to get up, going to do some work, look at your plan, see if we can actually do some academic work beyond what is your name. What? We just supposed to pass old Leroy through. Just, come on. Go on back there and sleep, Leroy. They would do that all the way till you get to high school. And then, congratulations, Leroy's graduating. He did a great job. He slept through graduation, too. Black male privilege. That, one more time now. You play around with sex, that'll be your child. Probably your son, if they're classified as black, in the sensory room, snoozing every day. The sensory room. Getting ready for solitude. See, sensory sound like solitary. See, prepare you. Say, you sleep all day in solitary too, Leroy. Pause for Khalif Browder. Let's see. You pause for Prince too. That's a song. Willing to do the work. We miss you, Prince, as well. But that is a song. I remember. Anyway, you can check that on YouTube if you are not at work or on your company's Wi-Fi. But white people generally are not willing to do the work. Now, they're willing to snoop and spy on her and even get lots of victims to do that. She said that all eyes. They even went to, and hey, of course, that's Tupac land, Bay Area. They went to confirm, pulled her to the, oh yeah, you know, we're watching you. And the appropriate, I already knew. You don't have to tell them that, but your brain, system of white supremacy, duh. In the penitentiary, you watch the prisoners. On the plantation, you keep an eye on the slaves. Of course you all are white, duh. Now she got a compliment because they said we are watching you. We appreciate you. You are willing to do the work. That's because we're not accustomed to that around here. We got lots of lazy, shiftless roustabouts. They are trying to date other teachers, worrying about their transgender status. I don't want to show off my mustache. They're not willing to do the work. Fuller said that is, they have the ability. I'm sure it's other people. They're trained and got the education, but they're not willing. Just stuff them in the sensory room. Just get to that later. Can we even get a 7 for Leroy? Just put him in the sensory room. We'll get to that. Woo! Man, a 7 is asking too much. That right there, when Fuller says that, I don't think we grasp that, most of us. I didn't at first. He said this problem could be solved today. That's not what white people want. They like Leroy sitting in the back with a 6. Leroy turned 7, she said, in April, unless my memory is bad. It's almost September. Still got a 6. It's not that white people can't make a 7. Are you serious? They probably could have got a drone to come and drop a glittering 7 out of the heavens. Like, look at that, Leroy. You got a 7 from heaven. They could have got a crown. They could have let Leroy, you make a 7. We'll make a project. Just put him in the sensory room. We'll get to that later. What does it mean to be? That is a sterling illustration right there. That's something so small. Like, are you serious? Like, you're telling me all these now, how much education do you need to make a 7? All those degrees and thousands of hours and credit hours for a 7. That is a bridge too far. That's a great movie. That's on Mr. Fuller's list. Yeah, 7. We have to stand on 6. I don't even know what that does to your brain computer in terms of worth, because birthdays are a big deal. White people really promote those on the plantation. My birthday in April, and I ain't even get an update, man. I'm 7. They normally brag and get rowdy about that thing. You talk to a child and tell them I'm 10. What did you say? 11, I meant to say. I'm sorry. That's normally what they do, man. You got me wearing, I'm not 6, man. I'm 7. I'm almost grown, man. Black male privilege, I guess. Willing to do the work. Bay Area mom. Appreciate it. Be patient. Can I say that again? We said at the end. Be patient. They can't even be patient with the children. Lord Jesus. Like, you can forget it once you get to about 17, 18. Like, shut up, Leroy. Shut up, Lakeisha. I don't, shut up, shut up, shut up. They're not even patient with the children. I've had it with the sensory room. I just wanted to see if I could get a 7. Sensory room. I had a birthday. Sensory room. Patient with other black people go a long way, I think. Should be said more often, maybe. Let's see. Email number 2. Untiljustice@gmail.com. Untiljustice@gmail.com. Hi, Gus. Number 1. My report last week was unclear. It was Shauna who said she was being nice to the people from the company she used to work. Oh, I thought that was the white person. I might have got confused. I thought it was the white person who said that. Shauna, non-white female victim, who said she was being nice to the people from the company she used to work for, as she might work for them in the future. This was said in front of right-wing Ashley and Zoe. I would not do that. Yee. What I forgot to report is that Shauna also made a statement which implied Harry doesn't have a backbone in front of them. I wouldn't do that either. Why she thinks they are not going to report her to Harry is beyond me and me. We've been talking about that all day. I think, like, Jesus Christ. Man, again, we do not understand what it means to be white. I said that one for years. Anything you say in the workplace, you had better. I'm willing for this to be recorded. Everyone who ever worked for this organization, everyone who will ever work here, will get an MP3 of this. Everything I'm about to say. They will have a written transcript. It will be in every language needed. It will be available online for the next 25 years. That's the way you should be thinking. And if you're not willing to continue speaking under those conditions, especially if it's, I got to tell you what a lame and no count Harry is. Like, oh my Lord. Like, you are asking for trouble. And white people love that gossip, especially when they can get a black person and then, oh, Harry, let me tell you what she said about you. They love that. So they love that when it's just other white people. So it's like a double whammy for them. They can do the gossiping and practice racism. Can it get any better? Maybe they can get you fired. That'd be like the triple whammy. Maybe they can get you fired. 2. Shauna was back on her anti-blackness and attempted sabotage. Bullish this week. On Monday, Shauna returned to the office after taking leave the previous Friday. Tuesday was the deadline for the business proposals I wrote about last week, yet she said nothing to either Zoe or myself on Monday. It's out of the ordinary for her not to check the progress on such requests, particularly given high priority. Around 9:15 a.m. on Tuesday morning, she messaged me and Zoe in the Zoom chat. Can you send me your proposals by 10:30 a.m.? We had a meeting scheduled with other teams at 11:30 a.m. to discuss all proposals. We also had 2 half-hour meetings beforehand, which meant we did not have any time to discuss our ideas, clarify anything, or check for errors. This is not the way any manager who wants to be seen as performing well wants her team to be seen as performing well, or is interested in supporting her team would behave. The reality is she's not targeting Zoe. It's me who she's trying to set up. Zoe is not competent, and Shauna knows it. And Shauna isn't experienced enough in aspects of her role, which has become clearer to me over time. She may have been set up to fail as well. I know I've read that as well and seen where sometimes white people will promote a black person to a position that they're not qualified for, to watch them have difficulties and struggle. They're not going to help them. They're not going to train them. They're not going to properly prepare this person to grow into the position. It's just going to be, oh yes, great, black people are lame. Look at that. See there? Willie messed it all up. That type of thing. I called Zoe to suggest we compile our ideas in one document and send it to Shauna. Zoe had copied some project ideas out of another document, but with none of her own ideas or costings. So basically, nothing. I emailed the document to Shauna. I had no intention of sending it via Zoom chat, as it would be deleted and she would have the opportunity to present my ideas as her own. As I was typing the email, she sent me a Zoom message chasing me for my proposals. I told her that I had just emailed her. There was no way I was going to put my proposal in the Zoom chat so she could claim the idea, and offered to talk her through them. She declined, stating there wouldn't be any time, but maybe later. 15 minutes later, Shauna asked me for a 10-minute chat with me and Zoe to go through the proposals. That's so funny. I don't think she expected me to come up with anything. Shauna told me that my work was good, almost choking on her words, and asked for clarification on a few points. She then told us her ideas, stating they were less ambitious. She ended up putting forward my ideas and one of hers. Nothing from Zoe and no criticism of her poor work either. Hey, that is what it means to be white. Now again, that's going back to Edward Bloom, where he says, hey, everybody, we just want them to be hired, and you know you are here on the merit of your hard work and the sweat of your brow. That's what he said repeatedly. Zoe sound like she, I worked hard, I put in a little elbow grease to get here. I don't even think Zoe, unless my memory is bad, this isn't even the chick who was drinking and stealing company funds to go out, with her substance abuse issues. That was a totally different white person. She continues, Shauna then met with another team to agree how all the proposals would be presented to senior managers later that afternoon. She sent Zoe and I a write-up of what was agreed and listed the proposals that would go to senior managers and asked for our views. She had paraphrased my ideas to the extent I wasn't sure if it was the same idea. The way it was worded wasn't quite right, so I queried it and explained why I was recommending she remove the wording. Words are important. She is a rageful person. What a curious term. And I could tell she was angry by her response. She corrected me on what I had said, inferring I don't know what I'm talking about. Ooh, we do love to get rowdy with other black people. Like, ooh, look here, Lakeisha, you don't know what you talk about. Look here, Leroy. Boy, that is one of our favorite. Fuller said that we love to get in contact with the religion of name-calling black people is so connected. We love that. That's how we've been trained. Ooh, I'm going to get it. What did you say to me, Leroy? Ooh. And she didn't say that she did all that with Zoe. White woman. She didn't do all that. That's how we've been trained. You have to work. You have to record. That's what minimizing conflict with other non-white people. Us, going back and forth, name calling, blaming, and getting hostile with other black people. That's, same thing we've had like forever. Often for the entertainment of white people, or they get to be the ones to come and arbitrate the dispute, make us boys and gals behave. None of that's helping us get off the plantation. None of it. So she's, I replied, giving her the rationale and explaining that what I was proposing was based on research and why it should be worded the way I had written it. I wasn't rude. And I wasn't trying to undermine her. And in a non-toxic environment, this wouldn't be a problem. racism is the most toxic. She didn't respond, so I knew she was enraged. Ooh. The next day, Shauna queried some of the details in my proposal. She didn't ask to meet with me, just sent messages via our Zoom chat, which Zoe and others are part of. I answered her first 3 questions. The next question was about the budget. I answered and preempted her next question, so gave more detail. I only typed 1 sentence. She replied, "Not to be rude, but can you just answer the questions I ask and focus on the proposals could change?" I love it. And again, if our author, listener, if she was classified as white, male, female, transgender, lush, anything else you can think of, disabled, elderly, anything else you can think of, I do not think Shauna would be talking to her in this manner. I do not. Same thing I said with the performance appraisal some weeks back, where she said, "Oh, just let me, rubber stamp it, and it's no big deal." And then she got all these critiques and things that she was going to put on here to bash her. I don't think she could have been a white, gay, transgender male in a wheelchair that's 65. I do not think she would have pulled something like that. And I do not think she would have been, not to be rude, just give me the information and hush. I do not think she would have talked to her like that. That is how we've been trained to talk to other black people. So shut up and just give me the information, blah, blah, blah. She's probably calling you all kinds of names in her head, like, woo-wee, you all kinds of coons. Look here, coon, just shut up and give me the information. Let's see. She says, in other words, she's mad about the email, even though the idea is, she asked another question, so I gave her a direct 2-word response. Silence, which means raid. No, that means coon. Ooh, coon, I can't. For her half an hour, she was quiet. I think she was searching online for information, as she clearly had more questions. Rather than ask, she messaged me for a copy of the research report. I dropped the link to the report in the meeting chat. Later that afternoon, Zoe messaged me to let me know she had met with Shauna and told me the purpose of her meeting. She's never done that before, nor is there a need to. She then gave me feedback from the meeting Shauna had with the senior management on the proposals I put forward. That is wild. Why wouldn't that? Seems like something the manager should do, right? Come back, debrief. These are, key takeaway points from the proposal. This is how we're going to go forward. Do you need to do something? Like, why is she sending her underling to come and? Is that the reason she's still? Ooh, that coon. Ooh. She's. That is so like, man, that is the system of white supremacy, racism, and all of that. Do you see how undermining all that is? Like, I can't get correct performance appraisals. I still haven't got my chair. And now with the meetings and such, we're working on major projects. The tackiness, like you wait till the last minute, which is what the white supervisor did before, nag and deliberately do things to make me miss deadlines. And then we get there and I'm trying to answer your question, give all the context, pertinent details so you'll know what's going on. Look here, can you just get, like, dang. And then you're not even going to come and give me a proper professional update. That's why I said I'm not here to be a mute. Courteous, professional. I asked for this job the same way Shauna did. How is it that the underling, incompetent white underling at that, how is she the one that's going to come and, oh, okay, I talked this what we went over in the meeting, blah, 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 and all that? Sounds like something the manager should do. What do I know? Tacky. It does not get any better than tacky. And again, Carter G. Woodson wrote about this 100 years ago. That's how much progress we've made, that frequently on the plantation, black supervisors, they're nasty, hostile, and rude with black their underlings, individuals that they are in charge of, so-called, and then subordinates, or you get a black supervisor that is competent, doing things in a just, correct manner. The black subordinates do not pay attention. Who do you think you are, coon? You're not going to be the boss of me. And they put a white person back and they cut all that out. So, I mean, Person who is most to blame, people classified as white. That does not make it any better. We have been trained through and through conflict with other people classified as black. But that's what she was doing, though. All that silence, ooh-wee, you were every coon, nope, name. Woo, boy, if you could go back and read her thoughts then, like, man, she broke the meter. Man, she put Cat Williams to shame. Let's see. And again, she would not have been doing all that if you were classified as white. She might have been, a little protected. She probably wouldn't even been protected. She was talking to Zoe. Anyway, other folks who dialed in, you have hand up, commentary to share. Line should be open. Let's see. Caller in Florida should be with us. See if we missed any other folks.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and caller. Gus, I have a few updates I'd like to share. I was thinking about how when at the post office, at times it'll be either someone white or someone who is non-white. They'll either try to make conversation. They'll notice that I have a bin of mail, passport envelopes going out, and I thought about how the attention is on you. All eyes on me. I believe I mentioned, if I haven't mentioned, where it was a person, I think this is a white person, someone I don't think is classified as black. She only was asking black males to help her look into her P.O. box. And she asked me, and I refused to help her. I don't know who this person was. And, I said, I can't do that. I'm waiting here trying to get a receipt for these priority mail envelopes. And it was a white guy that walked in. She didn't ask him. Another white guy in the line, or Asian guy, whatever the case may be. She didn't go up to them. But a black guy walked in. She asked him, and he helped her out. And she tried to say, hey, could you believe he didn't want to help me out? Meaning, talking about me. And the guy didn't really say anything. He just, walked out of the post office. So, I wanted to share that, how it's at times where black people will be, I guess, targeted, elected, to be asked to do things. I think that is like a form of that consumption. I was thinking about that as well. Didn't even ask any white person, and it was at the same time waiting for someone at the service desk to help open the post office box, and she was only asking black people. My next update is there were some interns hired, and the person with dark skin, the black female, they did another form of the segregation where they put her in the area where the white guy is, who is over the trials, probate, and juvenile, I believe. And they put the black intern with the other black people, and they put the lighter complexion person over where the civil area is. So I was paying attention to that, and they've been doing interviews because at least 2 or 3 more people have left the clerk of court, the courthouse. So I've been paying attention to see who goes where and what kind of people they're trying to interview, you know, based on, I guess, what task or what job they'll be assigned. Because a lot of people really don't want to work with the white guy, even some of the white people who were advocating for this guy to get the supervisor position. That then, like, they can't stand him now. They're saying that one white woman is saying that he's trying to always get her to go to the trials upstairs and have her sit in court, and he doesn't come and tell her anything. And she says he's terrible, and I don't put any of my view in anything that she's saying. I just either listen where she's talking to another white person, and I just say, I have something I have to do, take care, see you later. Another white woman looks like she's becoming nasty or showing more racism because a black person started at the front counter, and a victim shared with me, it seems like she's trying to make it look like the other 2 black people should be doing the work, and she doesn't want to do any work. And she's noticing from the angle this black person sits at, the white people that come in, they're kind of hesitant. They don't really want to walk up to the desk a lot of the times. And she says, do you need civil, child support, or traffic? And she says sometimes they don't even want to even respond. And they willingly go look for the one white person that sits in the corner. They do things like that. I have 2 more I'd like to share. The supervisor in the area where I work at, it seems like she's trying to carry on conversations with black people that's on the segregated side, where I'm at, in a way that I hadn't really seen before. It just seemed like I don't know if he's being coached, or maybe it's a better word for it. Her and the friend, the crony she has that's in the clique, she's saying that she's being told that she doesn't smile enough, or she's smiling too much. And then the supervisor, the white woman, is having these unnecessarily long conversations with a lot of the times the black people, and she doesn't speak in that same way with the white people on the other side of the department. She's pulling out the cell phone, and it just seems like it's just a bunch of just nonsense, like not really anything pertaining to the job. So that's been a pattern I've been observing with her. And there's an email that I had found, I had printed out. I just wanted to read it. Where the chaos coordinator, a white woman, she starts it out where it's a quote that says, "Kindness begins with the understanding that we all struggle." And the person, now she has the name where this person, I guess this is something this person said, the name is Charles Glassman, and there's a paragraph that she typed beneath it, and it says, "The Society of Human Resource Management estimates that U.S. workers encounter more than 171 million acts or instances of incivility per day. Working for a government agency means that we often encounter people who may not be happy to see us, That's why it is important in the workplace for employees to encourage one another and build one another up. Always ponder the consequences of your speech, not only to our customers, but also to each other. Kindness costs nothing. And then in quotes, it says, negative people need drama like oxygen. Stay positive. It will take their breath away. And then it says unknown. So I have no idea who she got that from, but I wanted to read that email as well. And that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Does not get any better than tacky. Much obliged caller at the courthouse. Incivility. What do they mean, incivility? Like somebody threatens to shank you? Is that what you mean, incivility? Like, I don't know. All of it really. The whole email from the chaos coordinator. She said that we all experience all these acts of incivility. People might not be happy to see us. I said, like when the white fella, when he went and he saw his black coworker, and he said, "The devil!" and he went and hopped and ran out through the office like that. I was thinking lots more incidents where it was fellow coworkers, not random strangers coming into the courthouse who were not served, and you had to press the panic button, and they got, had to get rowdy. I was just thinking of people that you work with every day who had. He said the judge, he went to get on the elevator. And she went. She was not happy. He said, "Oh God, I'm gonna catch the next one. I'm gonna catch the next one." Go ahead, black brother. That's all of the incidents that I can think of. Like, if you asked me, it's other people that work at the courthouse just being rude to you. Like, they are not about we gonna be civility. And yes, all my black brothers, even my black sisters and brothers in the segregated area, they too face struggles. We're all in it together. Please, whatever. Don't you get on the elevator when I'm right. You take the stairs or get the next one. You stay over in the segregated. I said, matter of fact, I remember the black people came to get married, and they were going to use a little room off to the side, and the white woman said, look, why don't you go get your people? I said, man, even that one. That's not people off the street. That's people that work here being rude, incivility, you might say. Anyway, it does not get any better than tacky. The no helping white people. We have done whole programs about that. This went years, more than a dozen years, in fact. I remember the genesis. We had Neely Fuller Jr. on in 2011. This was just after the Word Guide had just been published, and he was talking about that, talking about justice, and he said, you help everybody, even, a white person, racist, if they need help. You talking about who needs the most help, and he said, you help them too. And that just did not make sense in my brain computer. If a white person is on their way to a lynching and their car breaks down, do I help them? WTH, no. Might see if I can sabotage or see if I can puncture another tire, give them wrong directions to the filling station. Just keep walking south. We're in Florida. Just keep walking south, man. Just keep walking south. You'll get to it. You hit Cuba, you went too far. I give them wrong. I'm not helping you. Oh, man. It's going to miss the lynching. I had the rope. Now I get there on time. Thank you, brother. What? Victims guaranteed qualify, but that's my brain computer. No, that's driving Miss Daisy. They gave out an Academy Award. They don't even give out Academy Awards. What'd they give it out for? The help. Gone with the Wind, we got another one too. That's black people helping white people. They'll give you an Academy Award for that. No helping. We did 2 programs talking about this, and VGQ. Lots of help. ProduceJustice.com. Lots of great suggestions from Mr. Fuller. Helping white people. That is not one that I take. I do not recommend helping white people. And exactly what he said. He said he went to the post office. He's got his package. He didn't say he was empty-handed and all that. That's one. Got his packages. He gets there. They're all looking at one as he's stealing passports, smuggling cocaine. They watch him, got the cameras on him as he moves. Okay. The white woman asking all these black people, hey, black brother, can you help me? My P.O. box is so high. I'm just fragile and decrepit. Black brother, do you think you can help me in the spirit of Harambe? Can you? Black brother, you black brother. Now he said it's white people walking all around. Plenty of white people in Florida. No. She did that right there. What in the world? None of these white people, they don't have opposable thumbs. Their arms don't work. They were too short. They were all white midgets. Come on. We are supposed to be the slaves. The Negras. I'm a white woman too. Like, oh my Lord. You're supposed to sing me a song, tell me a joke, and get my package happily. Keep it moving. Nothing even need be said. I've said this for the grocery store, all of that. Nothing. Keep it moving. It's white supremacy, racism. Man, the whole world is set up to help you. You do not need me to help you with nothing. Directions, open your parcel, get the ketchup bottle off the top shelf at the store. Nothing. No helping white people. Let's see. And I agree, that is consumptuous. If it was me, if I really needed help, I can't reach this or whatever it is, anybody who can solve this problem ASAP, if it's Chip, Leroy, Susan, whoever, get over here and get that's not what she did. I want a little plantation. That'll make America great again. I need a little plantation time. Nigger, get my box. I'm good on all that. And I've seen that before where white people expect niggers, that's what you do. Spade work, that's just what you do. Anywho, we talked about workplace racism all day yesterday. I forgot the book club is all about workplace racism because it's about a black police officer, Prentice Sanders. White people didn't want him on the force. I told you last week they had the Christmas party in San Francisco and they were going to cancel it because black people were going to attend. I cracked up laughing. It's not really funny, but I cracked up laughing. I'm going to have to play that part when we get to Christmas this year around. But the whole thing, they were talking about workplace racism. They got into a fight. White man came, said something racist. Spade work, that was it. The white man came up and said, you niggers cannot do real police work. You all can just do, parking tickets or whatever here. Bam. And they got into fisticuffs. I said, oh my God. It's an armed white man in a room full of armed white people. His black partner, the black guy got into a fight with a white guy. The black guy who's fighting his partner pulled out his gun to stop everyone else from intervening. Man, that could have been a whole book in and of itself. Like, are you serious? We all could have died. I'm like, what? I said yesterday, I say it again, man, you do not want fisticuffs in the workplace. I said, now, if that had happened today, that would have been on video. We would have all saw that. Somebody would have got fired. Now, back then, whatever. Now, somebody would have got fired over all that. Maybe many somebodies. You do not want fisticuffs. I say it all the time. Composure. You cannot be getting upset and rowdy and cursing folks out, ready to brawl in the workplace. Anywho, next he talked about the white woman coming in, grousing, complaining. They have lots of that gossiping, dare I even say. He doesn't give any of his views. Super important. You don't need to question them. You don't need to speak up. You don't need to challenge and confront them. I think what you're saying is racist or messed up. Nothing. Said forever, If you don't get asked a question, mom, they get rolling on all this. Well, got to get back to work. Always good to see you. And the same thing, we've heard it twice now, cordial. You don't have to get an attitude and here we go again. None of that. Nonverbals too. None of that. Well, got to get back to work. Always good to see you. Keep it moving. Nothing needed to be said. He didn't even have to ask a question on that one. Let's see. He said they have the black people at the front, segregated area in the front. He said when the white people walk in, they do not want to go to the niggers for help. I think we've heard this kind of before in a variety of ways, because he even said some of the people who work there, they show the same behavior. They also don't want to use the exit or walk by where the niggers work in the segregated area. That's why they pile everybody up over there. I feel like we've heard this, a few times where he said with the customers this time around, they have to speak up like, ma'am, sir, do you need help? Is this a civil matter? Are you looking for something? Records? They don't have. He said they even look like, white brother, white brother? I'm waiting for the white person. Thank you. Sure is like, wow. Well, now again, then turn around and say they're colorblind. Oh, I don't see no color, polka dot, purple, white, stripe. Hey, people's to me, I don't really. You say that, you could say that with, how is it that you're waiting timidly for the only white teller in the segregated section, and you're waiting for niggers to get your box out of the P.O. at the post office? I thought you were colorblind. And in both instances, I thought you just needed help. Like, why ASAP? I'm trying to get out of the post office, man. Can anybody get my box, please? I'm trying to get out of the court office. Anybody who can competently get what I need, let's get rolled. That's not, In the one setting, it's got to be a white person. In the other setting, it's got to be a black person. You can see, you're not colorblind. Let's see. He said the white supervisor comes out, and I don't know what was being said. Coming out sounds like it could be shellacking verbally the black people, and doesn't seem like this sort of thing happens to the white employees who work there. I think this is a pattern that I've heard before too, even just with the cell phones and such, because I think they have policies about cell phones at the courthouse, as they do at many workplaces, where you said, if a white person is breaking this policy, they won't be reprimanded. They might just come and give a nice, friendly, general public reminder. We do have a mobile policy, keep your cellular, away, use it on your break, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Whereas if it had been me, Leroy, hey, Leroy, put that phone down. You don't use your phone. If I catch you again, but that sort of thing, where they got to check. Same thing you just told us. They got to pull the black people out. Yeah, I haven't been doing it. All that, and shake your finger in the face, and the whole nine, where white people, they don't do it. Really, we just heard that too. A caller who wrote in, got incompetent white people, might be some of the cronies, who knows. They don't get talked to that way. Black people, we can be rude, nasty, and hostile, and all of that. Seeing that, really, because that behavior is modeled, you see white people engage in that behavior, and then you see black people engage in that behavior too, being rude and nasty to other black people. That's why I say being patient, being courteous with black people, because I've heard that a few times. In fact, it was a few weeks before, he said it was same thing. It was a white person was fussing at a black person about how they were doing their job. They might have been cleaning or whatever. And then a different worker, a black person though, hollering and like, that's right, get on him, get him in line. That's right, don't take no lift from him. That's right, they running around here getting up and in. Like, dang, I said that, like, if that had been a white person, would this victim had, added in, like, I got to hop in too. That's right, you got to get him in line. We got to show him who boss around here. They slacking and don't do no, really? That was recent. That's what I said, like, this sort of behavior is modeled all the time. You can be nasty, rude, name call. We love the name call black people. All of that is supposed to be directed at black people. We, conversely, are supposed to help white people. Probably been a lot of black people who would have chided our caller and the other black people. But what? You didn't sprint to help that white woman get, she arthritis and old enough to be your grandmother, and you ought to be shamed, and that's disgraceful. That's not universal, man. You're just being a regular heathen. That's what they would have said. Well, victims guaranteed qualified. I've seen that for centuries at this point. Black people dying and giving their last breath to help white elderly people, white children, white married couple, you name it, white disabled people, white gay people, you name it. I have seen that forever, and we still got a system of white supremacy racism. So we're going to have to try something else, like no helping white people. You know, talk about radical. That would be one for radical, not shooting and killing every white person and all that. Just don't get that package. She'll manage. Don't get that ketchup. They'll manage. You don't need directions. That's when I laugh at. Directions? Really? You got an iPhone that you say is worth more than my life and Tamir Rice. Really? You do not need no directions from me. I'm ignorant, remember? I don't even know where. I can't even spell West. You don't need no directions from me. GPS challenged. Much obliged, caller in for bravo, for he didn't tell us that as soon as he saw those heathens not helping that white woman with the package at the post office, I intervened and got her parcel. He didn't say that. Bravo. We will be here Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Compensatory call in, see if we can catch up on. Oh no, let's see. Missed one. I can't believe it. Missed one. Our female caller, she called in last week. That creepy white dude, is he still stalking you in the workplace?
Oh, hi Gus. Sorry, I'm sitting here. I'm listening and I'm completing some job applications as I listen in. He did come by my office today, and I've gotten a lot better with documenting every single thing. You know, as you recall, I told you before that I had, I told him, he tried to set up another little rendezvous with HR, with his boss, and a director of human resources, and I told him last week, you know, at this point, I just feel I don't think it's conducive. I think it's just kind of a waste of time, essentially. And so he came by today, and not today, actually Wednesday, and he said, "Hey, just wanting to let you know, I hadn't heard from HR yet about anything." And I told him, I said, that's, at this point, that's not even really on my radar. And then he tried to ask me, I told you with the different positions, they upgraded my title, but I'm kind of screwed money-wise, which, I have opted to decline the raise. But he said to me, and I don't know if this was a trap, you can give your 2 cents on it. He said, is there anything in this position that the higher paying position that you're going to be doing that you don't feel like you want to do, since you're planning on going back to, your original title? And I, didn't want to start naming, okay, well, I'm giving this back and this back, because I thought, okay, he may use that as some kind of way of me being insubordinate. So I really didn't give him any information. I was basically just kind of calling to kind of just update you. Should ideally be getting that open records request next week. I think they're winding down to their 10-day period where I will be getting that. I have also joined my union for my job. Did not know that we had one for paraprofessionals, so I have joined that, and I'm going to try to reach out to them to see if what they're doing, they're not really giving, a lot of the information they've given me. It's not really it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, it's just nonsensical. And, as I said, they try to get me to meet with this HR director, which, she is a black female, and I just kind of have that feeling, she is going to be, the mouthpiece for the white male that she, reports to. So, like I said, I've declined that, but he continues to bring it up. So, nothing new other than, like I said, him trying to get me to meet with them again. And, I don't know if he's just like digging in the wound by doing that or what it is, but I'm, just going to wait to hopefully get that open records request and, try to talk to the union rep to see, if what they're doing, if that is indeed legal, especially since, I have the some emails, from HR where they're saying, we're going to contact so-and-so about their increase. And, if they knew it was never going to be an increase to begin with, why would they be, communicating that? But I don't want to be long because I know we're winding down, but that's all I had for today. My hope is just to kind of update weekly, on what's going on. And, like I said, I'm filling out applications, but in a way, Gus, I kind of feel like I'm letting them run me out of my job, essentially, and I don't want to give up because, the next plantation could be 10 times worse, but, I just don't know, but I will, I'll mute my line, and that's all I had to say for this week.
Much obliged. Glad we got the update. Kudos on, she said she went and joined the union. That's also what I talk about in terms of learn as much as you can, because she didn't know that was available to her. But when she found out it is, oh yeah, I'm going to take advantage of that resource too. Learn as much as you can and take advantage of all the resources that are constructive and available to you at your place of employment. 11, she's still waiting on the records request about the pay schedule that they are deliberately concealing from her. The white dude, all of that, I think it could be probably a little bit of everything. That could be some more delectable Negro consumption of your time and energy to just be wasting all this time when he knows there's no raise, and or more just let me get some more of your time and energy and see if, we can do some backseat loving. All that, tacky grossness that we talked about before. So I think that's job well done. Just already over it. I'm waiting on my schedule, and I don't even think it's worth the time and energy to go and talk to HR. We talked about HR consistently. The HR representative, they are not your homie either. They are not there to help you. They are there as a spokesperson, representative for the company. They are there on behalf of the company, not you. Always best to keep that in mind. It's not like, they're, oh, absolutely, and we got your back. Nah, not at all. That's not even, what they're paid for at all. Black person, white person, totally irrelevant. I think also super important, I talked about those possessive adjectives. It's not your job. You talked about them running you off, and I've heard other people too in saying, well, I don't want these white people to run me off. I mean, as I said, famous Amos, any of us, oh yeah, they cannot run you off. Like, they can throw you off the ship like today. Us, me, all of us. Next 5 minutes. It's not our job. It's their job. And I think just thinking that way, hey, sometimes I'm being stalked. They're messing over my money. So do I want to stay in this job for the time that they allow me to have it? This white dude, he could get tired, I've been trying to, mess with this nigger woman, and she's, not playing along. I'm going to get me a nigger gal that knows how to play business, so to speak, and get rid of her, get her on out of here, get me another nigger gal. They could do that tomorrow. It's not my job. I think it's very important to just think that way when things get to a point where, maybe I can find a better plantation, or at least something where I'm not being stalked and lied to about compensation. I'm going to at least, take a gander and look. I think that's constructive. And also, Fuller has it in the Word Guide. He recommends that we not say things could be worse. He says just that way of thinking. I remember I had to ask him about that because that is in the Word Guide, 2 mentions that he recommends not saying. And I asked him, why does he recommend not saying? And he said that sort of, and it would even apply to this situation in a workplace, things could be worse. Now, the plantation, which is true, but he said I'd recommend not thinking or saying that because that is not an inspiring way of approaching life. He said that generally does not motivate you when someone says things could be worse. That generally does not, let's get up and go do da-da-da. That's generally kind of a Fuller is the greatest, but I did ask him about this like directly because I had, what's so tough about that? And it was very, particularly for context of white supremacy, it was very logical in terms of his thought process about, way more so in my opinion than helping white people. But that's it. It was super duper. Maybe we should have some reservations about things could be worse. Anyway, plantation will always be racist until we solve this problem. I do always make sure to say that. Whatever job we go to next, they're going to be racist there too, and you'll probably need the same, codification about touchy white people trying to get you in the backseat of the car. That doesn't mean I wouldn't look for a better plantation. She says filling out applications, not even filling out applications on a Friday evening. I'm not at the club and getting loose. I'm filling out applications. Gift of fear. That gift of fear. Like, oh man, white stalker is paying attention to where I park at every day. Yes, I am filling out applications. They are lying about my compensation. Yeah, I'm filling out applications. Brilliant. That I think, moving towards universal woman, universal man. Much obliged for all of it. Make sure, I'm going to see what he says in the Word Guide. It is not as cool as what he said when I had to ask him about it as in person, but things could be worse from the Word Guide. Let me see how it's in here. Is it things or could? Let's see. I think it's things. We'll be here tomorrow as I'm finding out. 8 p.m. Eastern. Yep, there we go. Things could be worse. Do not use this term with an underline. Instead, say it is the duty of all people, all creatures, and all things to use truth, to produce justice, and to produce correctness in all areas of existence at all times. Note, truth is that which is. Justice means balance between people, which means guaranteeing no person is being mistreated. People who need the most help. Talked about that before. Yeah, he had a lot more detail when I spoke with him on the phone, because I was like, what? Everyone says that, and I thought that was an important point. It is not a very inspiring phrase. Any hoodles. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow is Kobe Bryant Day, 824, at least in the Southern California area. Another raping, privileged black male no longer with us, and it's even more sad this year because his dad, Jelly Bean Bryant, just passed at 69, which, again, I think that is such a disgrace. 2 generations of uber black male privilege. That's 2 generations of NBA wealth. Neither black male lived to see 70. Black male privilege. Kobe Bryant Day, 824, raping black males always. Anyway, we'll chat it up tomorrow. Democratic National Convention, other tidbits that went down this week. Much obliged for folks tuning in. Did our overtime, touched all our bases. Much obliged for folks tuning in. I hope, if anything, say it again, discretion in the work. She said same thing. Young lady that just dialed in, dude is stalking. I'm not just being watched. They're tracking where I park at. That is, all eyes are on us in the most non-constructive, destructive manner possible. That's the workplace, that's everywhere, but that is acutely so in the workplace. Mandatory, adjust our behavior accordingly. Sobriety would be best. Under conditions of white supremacy, we need high-functioning brain computers. There's so much to think about, as we've heard this evening. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people. Remind us to remain patient with ourselves. Replace white supremacy with justice as soon as possible. No name calling black people. No name calling black people. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed.
I'm a victim, brother.
Problem. You're a victim.
Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.